Everyone has a chance to get a car loan, buy a home, start a business. And I believe we can make that happen.
Kamala Harris's plan? Bring down costs by cracking down on corporate price gougers. Make homeownership more affordable for families. A middle-class tax cut for 100 million Americans. And make sure billionaires and big corporations pay their fair share so you can keep more of the money you've earned.
And instead of being focused on the politics of the past, we need to be thinking about the future and how we make it better for families like yours. I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Harris for President.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted it close to town with a picture window overlooking a yard. And you found it. Now, when you sit down to dinner, you've got front row seats too. Your neighbor's daily pickleball game. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states.
Van, I found more Walk for Hope signs.
Great, Shelley, let's go. More people can join us for the Walk Run Festival with music by Liquid Pleasure, all at the Angus Barn on Sunday, October 13th. Go to walkforhope.com to sign up now.
This September, Diamonds Direct's ultimate offer is back, stronger than ever. Diamonds Direct helps you get the perfect jewelry gift with 0% interest. That's right, enjoy 5 years of 0% financing on any Diamonds Direct purchase. It's your chance to get her the perfect ring with 0 interest and comfortable monthly payments that fit your budget. But act fast. This offer ends September 30th. For details and more, visit diamondsdirect.com. Spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest on approved credit. Only at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
It's Tim Donnelly for Window Nation. Did you know that most of your home's cold AC this summer leaked out through your old windows? Save money year-round with energy-efficient ones from Window Nation. Right now, buy 2 windows and get 2 free. Plus, pay nothing for 24 months. Love your windows like Albert, who says great value, great product, and great customer service. Hurry, sale ends September 30th, so schedule a fast in-home estimate right now at 866-90NATION or at windownation.com.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, North Carolina's injury lawyers.
Visit GotBryan.com.
That's GotBryan.com.
WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
With the way that Scotty played in that round at the PGA Championship, you kind of have to, you might want to look at combinations of Tyreek Hill, 2 touchdowns scored, 150 yards. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a big game. Essentially, Tyreek was driving. It's being described as he was studied for reckless driving. I would assume it looked like he had a black Lamborghini. He was driving into the stadium. I mean, certainly Scotty Scheffler was driving a little bit slower, would be my guess, but definitely similar shades of how it happened.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold, Victoria's here. That was Will Brinson, not from our show, but from Panthers pregame show. And he was right. Tyreek Hill did an arrest celebration, which I don't know, man. I don't know how I'm not crazy about that. I'm pro celebration.
Yes.
I'm not necessarily crazy about that one, but you do you. You do you, Tyreek. Anyway, he was I saw that. So Will tweeted that out, too.
Mm-hmm.
Actually put that on Twitter that he would not be surprised if blah, 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 and what you just heard there. And we'll talk to Will coming up in about 25 minutes. We'll talk a little bit about, I guess the NFL.
Mm-hmm. And that beautiful Panther game.
Real quick question before we start.
Mm-hmm.
When I say the NFL, do you include the Panthers?
Of course. I mean, they're one of the 32.
Are we sure?
Not saying that we should, but of course I would. They're one of 32.
It hasn't really looked like professional football.
Oh, no. Yesterday was hot garbage.
That's why I asked the questions. Like, if I said, we're going to talk about the NFL and the Carolina Panthers,
mm-hmm.
and I'm sort of separating it.
mean, you can do that if you want to. As a Panthers fan, I mean, yeah, it's a lot. I love our boss, Paul, because he was like, after I thought he was like, if they miss that field goal, he said, I don't know if Victoria's going to come in tomorrow.
Well,
I was like, that's fair. That's fair.
Dave Canales did not. It looked like he had a bad clam after kicking the field goal. I appreciate that because that was not even a moral victory. But it was. I mean, get on the scoreboard.
Glad we got into double digits when we got that touchdown, even though that wasn't a surefire thing.
And I appreciated them going for it on 4th and goal when Bryce Young ran it in.
Mm-hmm. And then got popped out.
Yeah, I didn't. Well, I mean, he was across the goal line, so that's good.
But of course, they had to make it dramatic.
Well, but here's the thing about that whole sequence, and I do really want to get this started, but let's just finish this thought, and then we'll pretend we're starting over, because we kind of are. The fact that that's what it took for them to score a touchdown, and Bryce couldn't find anybody.
He had a bad day yesterday.
That the whole thing brought me to a place I didn't want to be in after one game.
Mm-hmm.
The whole process was awful. There wasn't a single thing about that game that you can honestly take as a positive. Not a single solitary element, including the fact that how did it take like 3 hours and 20 minutes to lose 47-10?
I know.
At one point, aren't we just going, you know what, this ain't working. We're just going to hand the ball off and get rid of it. Just go. Yeah. We're just going to go.
I mean, I guess that's the point when Andy Dalton came onto the field with like 2 minutes left.
Yeah,
but
honestly, that was 10 minutes too late for me.
Yeah.
I mean, you weren't doing anybody any good. I know what Dave Canales said after the game. He was like, well, I was hoping to get something out of it. And I'm like, no, you didn't.
Whatever.
There was nothing good came out of that game other than it's over.
Yeah.
The best thing that happened was when the clock went to, however,
and I like
000.
Dave Canales, but I want him to be real. Like, it's okay to be optimistic. I love that. But go back to your vision board because you need to also be real. There's nothing good about that game. I'm just feeling. I'm telling you, yesterday, people who follow me on Twitter, they know how I feel because I was throwing fire.
Who was worse? Who was worse? I'll just ask this question rhetorically. The Panthers or NC State? Let's start.
Or my Appies, because that was a garbage game.
You know what? Clemson was mad.
Oh, they were. They were coming out trying to say something.
Clemson was a little mad.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it. Saints 47-10 over the Panthers, and boy, it was kind of over really, really soon. I mean, by the way, it gets worse for Panthers fans.
Yep.
If you don't know already, Derek Brown looks like he's out for the year with a torn meniscus. He's going to have surgery. And there's your best player.
Yep.
On either side of the ball, your best player.
Please, no.
Yeah, too bad. So it sucks. Yeah, but he's done for the year. They were already thin on the defensive line going into the game, and even with some of their Derek Brown and their theoretically good defense, the New Orleans Saints looked like the 78 Steelers.
They made them look good. They allowed Derek Carr to actually come out there and like showboat and stuff. I'm so mad about it. Like, I'm so mad because that was the one team in our division that I felt maybe we had a chance to get a W over, and then they come out looking like that.
I actually picked the Panthers to win that game. I don't think I was right. All right, so Derek Brown is out. Dave Canales doesn't talk about that, but he does give overall thoughts about the 37-point loss.
Well, certainly not the outcome that I was hoping for. If I could, before I even got to watch the film, if I could just talk about 3 turnovers in the teens and explosives. that we gave up on the defensive side, a block punt. Those are critical factors. It flips the field. It gives them more possessions. And even when we had our chances, we didn't get our first completion for a while there. So just all around, just poor execution in all phases, and particularly when you turn the ball over and you give that offense chances. And what we found out is this is a pretty good offense. And we learned a lot about ourselves today.
Well, look, jury's out on whether or not the Saints are a really good offense.
Oh, they'll probably stink the rest of the year.
We don't know. We really do not know. Here's more from the head coach on the loss.
Yeah, just for me, thinking about it, a loss is a loss. And the nature of the loss, it matters. It's a factor. We look at it, but whether it was by 3 points or as much as it was today, those, you have to just count them as a loss and then move forward to the next challenge, move forward to growing from the things that we see on film. And that was the message I gave to the team. I said, hey, look, this in weeks from now, it's not going to matter what the score was. We lost. Let's go to the truth of it and let's move on, so that it doesn't have that carryover effect,
Well, I hope Dave Canales is right. I appreciate that he acknowledged that it certainly matters how, right? He admitted, because this was a non-competitive performance by the Panthers.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And there weren't that many teams that were non-competitive in Week 1. I know the Giants were non-competitive. The Browns
crazy
in Week 1. But not many teams were. And the Panthers were pretty much at the top of that list. So just some data points from the loss. Panthers had 58 yards rushing on 20 carries. Not exactly keep pounding. The Saints, and this was more alarming to me, 180 rushing yards allowed. And before you go, well, they had this big lead. Nah, man, a lot of that was compiled early.
Yeah.
They were running the ball at will.
Before halftime.
Yeah, they were running the ball, and this was my concern for this. We talked about it last week. We're all concerned about the offense. We're all concerned about, can Bryce Young become the quarterback they need him to be? We're going to talk about that because no positive signs in Week 1. 0 positive signs. In fact, you could argue that it was an Ike Ekwonu-like regression from year 1 to year 2 just in Game 1. But I was concerned about the defense because I remember last year how teams could run on the Panthers. And the Saints did that again.
Mm-hmm.
Now on to Bryce. He was awful.
He was bad.
Right? He was awful. 13 for 30, 161 yards, 2 bad interceptions. He was sacked 4 times, and he was under pressure even when he wasn't. Process what I just said. Under pressure even when he wasn't. So what I'm saying is that even when there wasn't a pocket collapsing around him, he acted as though it was.
He panicked.
Total panic.
Yeah.
And that is maybe the worst sign.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to explain why it's a bad sign in a couple of seconds. Picks came on the first play from scrimmage for them. The pass over the middle. Was Deontay Johnson open? Yeah. Adam Thielen was also in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Were we throwing to which one?
Right.
Right. When I watched it back, I'm like, huh? Is he throwing a? Who was he? Because it basically split the difference.
It felt like he forgot who he was throwing to, which team he was throwing to sometimes.
So, I mean, he threw it well over Deontay Johnson and well short of Adam Thielen. And the other interception, which, by the way, came on the first series of the second half on a 3rd and long, and he had Thielen wide open.
Mm-hmm.
He just made a bad throw. It actually reminded me of the throw he tried to hit Miles Sanders across the middle, also on the run where the ball wasn't, had no chance of being completed. Anyway, Bryce was terrible, but that pick on the very first play had to make life even more difficult for him.
It doesn't make it harder. Of course, you want to come out and start off on a high note. Didn't happen today, and that's tough. We're wear that today. We're going to learn from it when we turn the film on tomorrow. But that doesn't define us. Obviously a long year, and we have to, attack it with urgency and make sure that we're urgent about cleaning things up and fix what we got to fix. But we got to turn the page again. It's a tough league. Would have been great to win a game. Obviously, the goal is to win every one. It wasn't the case, so that's how it is. Got to turn the page and then focus on next week.
But it is defining them. Like, that's the thing. It's so frustrating. It is defining you.
Doesn't define us. Exactly.
This is exactly what you did last year, and you've changed nothing.
Right? I hope you're right. Like, legitimately, I hope you're right. But it, I think, cements what people believed after 1 year. Again, I'm going to fold this back to last year in a second. And he says it's a long year. Yeah. Already, it's a long year.
Felt like we played a whole season in one game.
Already, it's a long year, and the rest of that was cliches. And I'm not going to bang Bryce Young for essentially word salad.
Sure.
All right, because to me, all of the stuff that that he says in these sound bites kind of are indicative of a quarterback that hasn't yet found his footing, like on the field. So we're not getting anything from him on it or off of it. And it's okay, the off of it part. That's okay, right? It's almost, if they were winning and he was still giving us nothing, it would be comical.
Yeah.
But now it's just kind of, the whole thing is frustrating because he can't explain it, right? And therein lies the problem. I saw a great metric. By the way, we could talk about defense was horrible.
Yeah.
J.C. Horn wasn't great, but everybody was bad. There was nothing good about it. There is not a single player I thought played well. Actually, Miles Sanders probably played the best.
He probably did. And one of the things you mentioned that concerns me is the fact that Bryce, everyone kept, relying on his mental. Like, he can go out there and he can make these quick judgments and do all this. And he did none of that yesterday. So what do we have? A small guy who panics.
Let me get to the stuff I was kind of referring to. I think there are two things that I want to say, and I will allow for both of these to be purely speculative. You cannot prove that I am right. You cannot prove that I am wrong. I promise you. It is possible that last year was so damaging to Bryce Young that he is irreparably harmed. It is possible. It's also possible, by the way, that he was never very good. We always have to allow for that. Doesn't make a difference who you are, where you were drafted. Sometimes it just doesn't work out for whatever reason. Bryce Young would not be the first quarterback taken number 1 overall to ultimately be no good. He wouldn't be the first. All right, so we allow for that possibility. But last year, to ask him to play behind that offensive line and with those skill position players and with that, hot mess stew of a coaching staff might have ruined him. So we have to allow for that possibility. It may take time to tear him down and build him back up. All right? We have to allow for that. And I believe that they did break him last year. I said this to, we were talking with Darren Gant, and I'm like, wouldn't it be better for him to not play and let Andy Dalton go out there and deal with all of that and let Bryce watch for a year? And Darren's response, which I think was smart, he said, Bryce Young's best quality is his mind. He will not be broken by that. I thought the comment at the time was fine. I still disagree with it. And the longer we go into this process, the more I believe I was right, that he should not have played last year because staring at the rush and panicking when he felt pressure, again, even when there was no pressure. All right, here's my number 2 comment you cannot prove or disprove. They looked like a team that needed to play in the preseason. I don't know. They looked like they had no clue what was going on. Both sides of the ball, not just the offense. Could they have benefited from playing in the preseason? I don't know. Could it have hurt? Probably not.
Yeah.
But by not playing in the preseason, this seemed like a preseason game to me.
Yeah.
They played like it was a preseason. Not that it didn't matter, but they played like we're still working the kinks out.
That's what I kept saying the whole game.
Week 1 of the regular season is not the time to be working the kinks out. Again, that may be completely off base. I don't think so. I'm going to throw in one more thing. And I want to hang a little bit of this on Dave Canales.
You should.
Not for the not playing in the preseason thing. If you go into the season, we're going to commit to running the football. Why is the first play from scrimmage a pass over the middle?
Well, remember one of my 3 keys from last Friday?
Yeah, running the ball.
Mm-hmm. Stick to your game plan that you say you're going to do.
So I get sometimes, hey, they're expecting us to run it, so we're going to flip it on them. As I said before, it's a pass that Bryce Young needs to complete. One of the 2 receivers was open. I don't know which one he was throwing to, but one of them they were both open. So should have been a completed pass, but there was a little bit of a rush there, so the ball either sailed that he was intending to throw to Deontay Johnson, or he didn't get enough on it that he was throwing to Adam Thielen. Again, I don't know. But I would have handed the ball off to Chuba Hubbard until we needed to throw it. The next drive, they ran it a couple of times, picked up a first down. I'm like, this is good. This is good. Obviously didn't work out, but and again, all 3 of those things that I thought of might be completely wrong. I could be I 100% allow, because you cannot prove yes or no. Because because you can't go back in time and change it.
They're such a mess.
But look, there's a lot of issues about this team. And I will go back to one other thing. We didn't talk at all here about NC State. We're going to talk about them. We might be leaving it for the top of the hour at 1 o'clock, but the Wolfpack were very disappointing. Carolina got a win, made Charlotte's no good. Mm-hmm. The Duke win was probably the most impressive thing we saw. East Carolina winning at Old Dominion, good for them.
Yeah.
Didn't go well for App at Clemson.
Nope.
Gosh, that was
so bad.
That was a bludgeoning. This was the worst performance by the Panthers in 13. They were this bad was 2011. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, that's all I kept saying yesterday was how are we How are we worse this year than last year? And they managed.
But definitive statements can't be made after week 1. We just can't. But it's certainly, for all of the people who had no faith in this team getting better, and there's a lot of them out there, yesterday just reinforced all the things they were thinking about this particular team. I still think, and I said this before the season, I still think the roster is not good. And you could tell by how many changes they'd made through the waiver wire. A lot of those players, by the way, were inactive for this game, so I'm not really sure what you're doing. But I think the roster is, I don't know if it's the worst roster in the NFL. I haven't seen all the NFL rosters yet. I haven't seen all these teams play, but they don't have a good roster.
No.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. Will Brinson will join us. We'll sort the Sunday pile with my friend Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
It is that time of year. And no, I'm not just talking about football season getting started. I'm talking about overreaction season. If you're through 1 week in the NFL, 2 weeks in college football, whatever it is, don't make any hard and fast opinions about your team because things can change. And oftentimes they do in week 3 or beyond.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
We are almost done with week 1 of the NFL. One more game remains, and FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is celebrating with this. $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 wager on tonight's game. And let's get going, people, for new customers. Build a single game parlay, why don't you, for the game between the Jets and the 49ers in San Francisco. Christian McCaffrey, anytime touchdown. Bryce Hall, anytime touchdown. Aaron Rodgers, will he get over 4 plays this game? FanDuel.com/AdamGold. Make every moment more with FanDuel. FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Timmy, everybody. Great job. Next up for our 5th grade class recital, we have Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high-stress performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence 9 test under high-load conditions versus API-SP test limits.
Adam Gold in studio with my friend Dallas Spruill, one of the great, talented people at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. Before I ask you about products and the open house, which is coming up Friday and Saturday, how long have you been with Aluminum Company?
Since 1995, Adam.
1995. You predate me.
I'm proud to say that because I'm not the only one that's been there for over 20 years.
I know. Danny Newman actually helped do windows in my entire house, and this is 26 years ago.
1998.
It is a long time ago. All right, the open house is coming up. What can everybody see?
Come out to our open house, bring your pictures, bring your ideas, visit our seasoned group of people. We can talk about options. We can get you pricing. And you can enter a free drawing. We're giving away prizes. We got a $2,500 grand prize. We got several other prizes. We got all of our radio stations there. We'll have lunch, food trucks, ice cream. Come on out.
I'm sold. By the way, seasoned is the new old, I believe. Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. You can find out about it at aluminumcompany.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
The weather is cooling down. It's time to hop back on the bike. Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Law Tigers. With temperatures dropping, I've been riding my motorcycle as often as ever, but I also know that injuries and accidents can happen. This is where Law Tigers comes in. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company if injured in a motorcycle accident. Your case evaluation is always free, and they do not get paid until your case settles. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
This is Adam Gold.
Frankly, I'm not sure that there is a sport that we could theoretically even put in the Olympics that isn't. I said bowling. Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Croquet? Lawn darts?
I'm waiting for cornhole.
Oh, there's somebody that thinks, yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. She's on the ones and twos. There'll be all sad songs today.
Yeah.
There'll be all sad songs.
Just this one on repeat.
What was your combined loss? Clemson 66-20, and the Saints 47-10. That's 113-30.
It was rough. But hey, in my fantasy league, I think I won this week.
Oh,
so.
I lost. I needed the Bills to play twice on Sunday. Josh Allen's going to carry me. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com. It is time to sort the Sunday pile All right. I don't want to – I've already talked for 20 minutes about the Panthers, but quick thoughts from you. Can we just go, okay, it was just week 1, or was it so bad that it's not just week 1?
I don't think it's just a week 1 thing. And remember, I mean, look, there's always, we talk about the Bryce Young trade, and thank goodness for the Panthers that Deshaun Watson is out here making it look like not the worst trade of all time. But when you trade away a lot of first round picks, and in order to acquire one player, and then you subsequently trade away another former first round pick like a Brian Burns, you've really drained a lot of potential talent. Like, it's hard to hit on second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth round picks, right?
Yes.
First round picks are hard to hit too, but they're more likely to hit, and they're blue chip talent. So when you lose multiple first round picks from your roster, it's going to drain your roster significantly for a portion of time, unless you get lucky and can supplement it with picks from other rounds. The Panthers are in the middle of that. Now, I would say 2 points about why this could be worse than it was last year, which is really hard to say and hard to stomach if you're a Panthers fan. One, the defense is much worse.
Yeah.
I mean, Derek Carr is probably, if the season ended today, Derek Carr is getting a lot of MVP votes. You never know. In 2024, anything can happen. And then 2, and I pretty sure I said this on here. I know I said it recently when I joined our friends Joe and Joe on the OG podcast, which I assume I'm allowed to point out on.
I mean, I can't stop you now, so that's fine.
Yeah, whatever. I don't really care. What are you gonna do? Fire me? Like, what if Dave Canales, the lathering of Dave Canales this offseason preseason is like, look what he did for Geno Smith as his quarterbacks coach. He turned him into a career.
Right.
Look what he did for Baker Mayfield. Well, he was Baker's OC, and Baker had a good year, and he was Geno's quarterback coach, and Geno had a really good year. But it was this very weird transposing of all the credit for those guys' success onto Dave Canales. People saying, well, the Bucs are hosed now because Dave Canales is gone, and that he was going to magically turn Bryce Young into a reclamation project. Now, look, it might still happen.
Yeah.
It's tough for Bryce because his first year is juxtaposed very directly with CJ Stroud's success. You have Anthony Richardson, who looks great with the Colts, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to believe that Bryce Young's going to be a thing for the Panthers. Teams give up on early round pick quarterbacks all the time. We see it with Sam Darnold on the Jets. But I think that the idea that Dave Canales was this magician who was going to sprinkle his super handsome dust all over the Panthers and fix the offense was probably misguided. And I tried to say that this offseason and generally got pushback for it. Early results say that I'm right. Nothing like victory lapping something after 1 week of football.
All right, real quick, because I think there's 2 different topics of conversation here, and I do want to move on to at least 2 or 3 other things.
I had 6 games on in the 1 p.m. window, and the Panthers were not one of them. So I'm not gonna. I gave up after 28-3 or whatever it was.
That was fine. It was. I don't think it was ever. Was it ever 28-3 or was it 30-3? I think when the Panthers finally got on the board, it was already 30-0. Who are we to care at this point? 2 things are true. I think can be true.
Felt similar to a game on Saturday.
Absolutely,
don't need to talk about.
We watched that one
right.
too. The trade should have never been made, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it should have never been
done
made.
Generally speaking, when you give up multiple first round picks for a single player, especially one who is completely unproven, you are you can make the case that even though the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, the Dolphins did fine with the Tyreek Hill trade. They're a really good football team. He's awesome. Whatever.
Right, but they were adding a player to a team that was already good,
correct.
Right? And the Panthers were bad, reaching for something and made themselves worse in order to get something they were hoping would be great. And my problem was, and I said this last year, don't play him because your team is terrible and you can't protect him. So why not just let Andy Dalton be the meat shield for Bryce Young and let Young watch? Let him redshirt the year. But no, because his brain is advanced, and I'm not sure it is anymore. You can ruin a quarterback. It wouldn't be first of all, it's possible that he was never going to be good anyway. We have to allow for that possibility because first overall picks as quarterbacks, they don't all hit.
The hit rate's higher for first overall picks. It's still really freaking low.
Right. What is it? Is it 50-50 for first
I don't
overall
think it's that
picks?
high. I think it's like 37
right?
or something
so
like that. And and that's counting guys like Alex Smith or Sam Bradford who, as hits, right? I mean, who ultimately were not,
Right. I mean, some of that is injury, but also just not being good enough. So we have to allow for that possibility. And I think we've all kind of said, yeah, it's possible. I thought Bryce was the right pick when they made it. Look, it certainly doesn't look like it was. But so we have all of that. Should have played or shouldn't have played. Shouldn't have made the trade. Those two things are separate conversations because they weren't ready as a roster to make that trade. And best case scenario, Bryce Young is good. By the time the rest of the roster gets good, they're going to have to pay him, and you don't take advantage of things like the Texans are going to take advantage of, like potentially the Bears are going to take advantage
the
of.
49ers are taking advantage of the last 2 years, being able to pay everybody. And go back to the Sam Darnold draft, and now with Sam Darnold having one of the two best days at the quarterback position of anyone in the NFL,
Vikings
along
legend.
with Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
Along with Baker Mayfield, by the way, the ex-Panthers, like living it up out here in these streets. Like Sam Darnold has had some time to sit and learn and mature and sort of figure out the game and has really good coaching from Kevin O'Connell and played awesome football for the Vikings yesterday.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be great this year, but you go back to the draft in 2018 and you had Sam Darnold, who was dropped into a bleep show with the Jets.
Yes.
And you have Josh Allen, who was dropped into a carefully cultivated ecosystem with a good offensive line. And then they later added Steph Diggs to it. And look, I mean, Josh Allen's a better talent than Sam Darnold. And I'm not saying that it would have been, if you flip it, it would have been gone the other way. But like the Panthers were simply not prepared to take a undersized quarterback and toss him into that situation and have him do anything but flop and fail and be a disaster.
There's no question. All right, let me move on. You transition me to Josh Allen. There, I don't forget, was it ESPN poll did most overrated player in the league, and
it was the athletic,
right? Okay,
yeah.
And Josh Allen,
it was ESPN.
It doesn't make a difference at this point. Yeah. Josh Allen got a lot of votes for that. For my money, there's no other quarterback in the Patrick Mahomes tier. He's a tier in and of himself. But I think that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are the only two quarterbacks in the next group because they can single-handedly elevate a team that isn't very good. And I don't think the Bills were very good against the Cardinals, and Josh Allen dragged them to a win. Absolutely dragged them to a win.
Yeah, I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see some of these weapons develop for Josh Allen, and the Bills' offense will actually end up being. No, I think you will. I mean, that's my. I mean, that's
okay.
You're bringing me on.
Professional opinion.
Yeah,
professional
right.
opinion.
I'm not going to tell you about your lawn or your aluminum siding, but I might tell you about your lawn. But I'm going to tell you. I think Dalton Kincaid, really good usage, didn't do much. He's gonna come on strong. I would almost guarantee that. I think Curtis Samuel, they'll get more involved. He was banged up before.
Mm-hmm.
Khalil Shakir had some nice plays in that game. But we saw this from Joe Brady in the final. I think they fired Ken Dorsey after week 10.
After he broke like 17 iPads, they had to let him go.
They lost to the Broncos and Russell Wilson. It's like, that's just enough. They let him go. Joe Brady's offense very heavily featured James Cook running and Josh Allen with design runs. He ran a ton yesterday, banged up his left hand, certainly a cause for concern, but I think you're going to see that this year. He is going to run the ball a ton. This defense started DeMar Hamlin on the back end at safety. Now, it's really cool that DeMar Hamlin died and came back to – it's not cool that he died, but it's cool that he came back to life on the field, right? It's not so cool that he's your starting safety. That's a problem for the Bills secondary, and you're going to just see this offense have to carry them. Kyler Murray, I believe, actually had the lowest completion percentage of any quarterback on ball. I don't think he completed a ball more than 10 yards down the field yesterday, which tough scene when you had Marvin Harrison Jr. in the offseason.
Wide open, too, at the end.
And, like, there's some – you can – anyway, the Cardinals were able to move the ball pretty easily, I felt like. And I think that's going to be a theme for the Bills. The Bills are going to be a bunch of shootouts. Josh Allen, I mean, there's a reason, why, like, I drafted him a ton of fantasy. I think this is an MVP season coming for Josh Allen in the sense that he's going to have to run the ball a bunch. He is going to have to put this team on his shoulders, and the narrative surrounding the trade of Steph Diggs and the lack of personnel and lack of weapons on the offense will really sort of prop that up even more.
All right, I want to get to I might talk about another MVP, a sneaky MVP candidate in a bit. But let's talk about Dallas-Cleveland because there are two things coming out of the game. First, Jerry Jones proved that he was more interested in winning than making money because he waited till he could make CeeDee Lamb the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history and Dak Prescott the highest paid player in NFL history. So he is giving players money. So credit to Jerry Jones for proving that he was more about winning than making money.
And also for those of us who are elite level procrastinators, showing that, one day you can too become a billionaire. Like billionaire is not off the table for those of us who love to procrastinate. I mean, Jerry Jones, it's 11:30 and actors are coming out, Jerry. Like you couldn't have leaked this out on, what, you watching the Hogs or something? Like, come on, man. Like drop this news. If you gave $60 million a year, you couldn't have figured that out Friday afternoon?
Unbelievable.
God almighty.
Unbelievable. I mean, if you're going to do this, you should have done it at the beginning of the summer. But the other side of that is that Deshaun Watson still isn't any good at playing quarterback. I contend that his last year with Houston wasn't awesome, but he had some really good years. And the reputation of that led to Jimmy Haslam losing his mind and giving Deshaun Watson a contract he didn't deserve for two reasons. One, his play, and the other, his massage behavior. And now that we see the Browns, who have a great defense, might have no offense.
The guys on Pardon My Take had a pretty funny little bit today. It's like, is Deshaun Watson a better person than he is a quarterback now?
Oh, geez.
Like
that is hysterical.
That's how bad it's gotten.
That is
hysterical. He's like, he might be a better person than quarterback. I think with Watson, a couple of like overarching things on this. One, sayonara, fully guaranteed contracts for anybody. We saw that really quickly. I think you can make the case too that even when he was good in Houston and he was electrifying and an exciting player, he really thrived out of structure and sort of making things happen in a playground style. And you can go back to Clemson and having these just incredible weapons, tons of talent around him. But pre-NIL, when, Dabo, of course, was getting all these great players without paying anybody, right? Wink, wink. And I think that, you can thrive that way in college. You can thrive that way for a little bit at the NFL level, but eventually it catches up to you. And when you're out of the game for 2 years, I tweeted this and I mean it. I think we're probably 2 weeks away from some sort of vague, nebulous Deshaun Watson shoulder soreness, arm injury situation that shelves him for a couple of weeks because he doesn't want to be out there. He's not playing well. He's getting booed left and right by Browns fans. And to top it all off, he doesn't have to. The Browns have zero, recourse for being like, hey, Deshaun, stop being terrible and stop being a money suck. And, they can't do anything. If they cut him after this offseason,
this is amazing.
His dead cap hit is $172 million.
I can't fathom that. The salary cap's like $50 million over that.
Not even 222. Well, yeah, a little bit more, but yes, it's like 3/4 of the salary cap. And Bill Barnwell of ESPN pointed this out. There's also a whole situation where even if they cut him, it wouldn't just be that that they have $172 million in dead cap space, they would still, like the Broncos with Russell Wilson this year, would have to pay his salary, which would be $90 million. So there's no way they're cutting him because you can't have $172 million dead cap space and field a football team within any amount of reason.
Could he retire?
And I mean, what if you were getting if 999 had to pay you $90 million, or like, and you're like, or you were miserable, you hated it, and like, but you could retire and walk away, would you? Hell no. I mean,
no. I don't know. It all depends on how many millions they'd already paid me. But
he is on that roster for the next 2 years, bare minimum, unless they just do something insanely drastic, or like. And by the way, if you want a silver lining, I guess the Panthers didn't get Deshaun Watson. I mean, you can get out of the Bryce Young thing a little bit easier than you can Deshaun.
Oh yeah. Let me just fold it back real quick to Bryce, and we'll say goodbye after about a minute or so. You think it's possible that this is Bryce Young's last year as a quarterback in the Panthers?
No, I think that. I mean, anything's possible in the NFL. We've seen some really weird stuff, like Russell Wilson wearing shoulder pads when he's inactive on the sideline. Like, my man, try harder. I think it's one of those things where you almost always give the young quarterback 3 years, and it's David Tepper, so I never say never with him firing somebody. Like Dave Canales. It's at some point you just can't get, like, he couldn't get a quarterback. He couldn't get Carson Wentz. He couldn't get Aaron Rodgers. He couldn't get Matthew Stafford. He couldn't get Russell Wilson. None of these guys couldn't get Deshaun Watson. None of these guys would agree to like be traded to Carolina for the reasons that you're seeing unfold now. So they had to force their hand, trade up to get Bryce Young. At like a certain point, there's only so many people. I mean, I shouldn't say this because he could hire me and I'll take the job in a heartbeat, but like there are only so many people who you can like get to play quarterback and get to, play to coach your team. And so I would think we get at least year 2 of Dave Canales and Bryce Young. But I mean, if
kind of depends on how the rest of this year goes.
Yeah. If things unfold the way they did in week 1 in New Orleans against a Saints team that really, kind of felt like a middle tier at best squad.
A mid-table club is what they are.
Did you see Derek Carr trash talking J.C. Horn? J.C. Horn's like got in his face. He's like, bro, I threw 3 touchdowns on you.
He pointed to the scoreboard and then gave the 3. Yeah.
It's ugly.
When that happens, it's time to get asked for the check. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com. My friend, we'll talk to you next Monday.
All right, buddy. See you, man.
We sort the Sunday pile every Monday here on the Adam Gold Show. We've got one-timers. I wonder how many questions will be Panthers related from Victoria. Could be a lot. Next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, we believe that getting to know you is the best way to protect what you love most. We have friendly agents in every county to help you prepare for the unexpected. And when life doesn't go as planned, our award-winning claims team will be with you every step of the way. Find a local agent today at ncfbins.com. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
Some call it overplanning. At Alternative Power, we call it foresight. Be prepared for the next power outage with a Generac home standby generator. After sensing a power outage, a Generac generator automatically restores your home's power, whether you're home or away. Generac, it's not just a generator, it's a power move. Act now for a free 10-year warranty on a Generac home standby generator. Terms and conditions apply. See more at alternativepower.com. Alternative Power, North Carolina's Generac experts.
NC Medicaid is for people just like me.
Adults who don't have children.
People who serve.
People who do the heavy lifting.
Child care teachers. Full healthcare coverage at low or no cost.
Doctor's visits, emergency rooms, and prescriptions.
So if you applied before and didn't get it, apply again.
NC Medicaid covers more people than ever before.
Get full healthcare coverage at low cost, no monthly fees, and $4 max copays. NC Medicaid is for more people. See if you qualify at medicaid.nc.gov.
Did you know Atlantic hurricane season runs through November? From gathering necessary supplies to planning an evacuation route, now is the time to make sure you and your family are prepared. And if a storm damages our electric system, local public power providers are ready to respond and restore power quickly and safely. As a public power customer, you benefit from having an electricity provider that restores power faster than other providers do. Visit electricities.com for storm preparation tips and resources.
Visiting the North Carolina Zoo in Asheboro is a family tradition, perfect for fun outdoor adventure. Founded in 1974, this year marks North Carolina Zoo's 50th anniversary, and the zoo is celebrating all year long. Enjoy the antics of the baboon babies, take a ride on the endangered species carousel, and wonder at the massive elephants of the Watani grasslands. Make cherished family memories today. Plan your trip at nczoo.org. Open 7 days a week in Asheboro.
Healthcare.gov is here for you when life happens. If you lost your health coverage because of turning 26, going off Medicaid, leaving your job, or moving, you could be eligible to enroll in new coverage now. And if you need to update your coverage because of marriage or having a baby, you could also be eligible. But don't wait. There's a limited time to enroll. Check your eligibility at healthcare.gov today. Life happens. Get covered. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hi, I'm Dr. Miller, a dentist and a volunteer for Dental Lifeline Network. I learned about DLN shortly after graduating dental school. I wanted to help people who are not able to access the oral health care they need. As a new dentist, I wondered, do I have the skills to provide the care they need? And do I have the time when trying to build a new practice? Even now, after 10 years, I can tell other dentists, yes, you can, and this is a no-brainer. Dental Lifeline Network is a nonprofit that has helped me literally change the lives of people in my community through the Donated Dental Services program. DLN asks dentists to volunteer to see just one of the many patients in need each year. If you're a dentist or know a dentist, please share this important information. It's easy. DLN screens those in need and coordinates the initial appointment. Patients are treated right in your office on your schedule. If you're like me and want to make a real difference in someone's life, DLN makes it possible.
Go to willyouseeone.org to learn more. That's willyouseeone.org.
The future depends on teachers who are reinventing the classroom and starting their students on journeys that will change the course of history. Shape the future. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
This is Adam Gold.
I had no idea John is a Cubs fan, too.
Yeah, I think that's a prerequisite to being the head coach at Duke. I made one comment about the Cubs to Mike Krzyzewski, goes back a while ago, talked about the pitching staff, and he goes, yeah, but I don't trust Victor Zambrano. Like, what?
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Top of the hour. We'll unpack what happened in Charlotte, not with the Panthers, with the Wolfpack Saturday night. A game that, I mean, it's hard to say that it would have all been different, but were it not for the ugly, horrible pick six. But it was certainly the play that flipped the game. So we'll talk about that coming up at the top of the hour. Also, we're not going to ignore the fact Carolina beat Charlotte. First game without Max Johnson at quarterback. And maybe the best thing we saw from the weekend was the way Duke rallied to beat Northwestern on Friday night in double overtime. That was fun, and it really was eye-opening for a lot of reasons. But we'll get to all that top of the hour. Right now, one-timers.
Okay.
Questions and answers. I wonder what the questions are going to be about.
So many different things that we could talk about, but let's start with some Panthers, shall we?
Sure.
So, in your opinion, is yesterday's Panther game more on the coaching staff and their play calling or the lack of talented players on the roster?
I'm not. What's the roster? The roster is just.
They don't even know.
It's unfortunate because they couldn't run the ball. Well, I shouldn't say they couldn't run the ball. On the second series, it looked like they were. And then after two successful runs, it was a Bryce Young scramble. Like, I'd have just kept running it until you had to throw it. To be perfect. After the first interception, to me, it's an indication, right? Whether he's too jumpy or whatever. Like, again, I wouldn't have called that play. But I'm also, it should have been a completed pass. I wouldn't have called the play. I would have called the play that was super simple, no danger, little dump out to a tight end or a running back in the flat, or give me Adam Thielen by the sideline. Something so simple, I couldn't have screwed it up. Because last year was so catastrophically bad, they needed something good right away to happen for Bryce, because you didn't really have anything in the preseason. But I would have run the ball, and then they throw it on the first play. It's an interception, and now, I mean, Bryce had to be like spinning a mile a minute in his own head. And the game's got to slow down for him, and he looks, as calm as he looks, he also looks rushed at the same time. I don't know how you can look calm and rushed at the same time, but he does to me. Maybe that's, retrospective, but they got to figure out a way to slow him down internally.
Yeah, well, that leads to the next question. So is there a way to fix Bryce Young from panicking and using that intelligence that everyone said he had and is the reasons why the Panthers drafted him and has spent all this money and trades to build around him? How do you see them fixing this?
We had Evan Cohen on last week from Unsportsmanlike. He suggested that they don't play Bryce this year. That's what I said last year.
Yeah.
That's what I said last year. I would rather have seen them play Andy Dalton last year. The one game he played, Dalton played, it looked like Bryce was, it wasn't ideal. You don't want your first overall pick to not play, but maybe it would have done him better in the long run. But man, we don't think long term with anything, especially in the NFL. So honestly, I think the only way to really, we're not going to know. There's no real answer to that question. I hate, but I do think that they have to make things super simple and risk-free initially, but then you're playing into defense's hands. It's a bad situation.
Yeah. Well, with that,
It was a terrible answer, though.
It's okay. How much time would you give Bryce to show any kind of progression in the right direction before you're like, he's a dud?
I think until he's hurting himself, physically hurting himself, he plays. I mean, you got to figure this out.
Yeah.
The offensive line, sort of better. Didn't really look that much better. The receivers, better, but to a point. Still no really reliable tight end. JT Sanders is good, but that's a future. There's not a ton there.
All right, well, in case people have not heard this yet, Derek Brown has an injury, so he is out for the rest of the season. So does this just ensure that the Panthers may not even get a win this season?
Well, this doesn't ensure that. Look, they're a professional team. They're going to win a game or two or three or four. But I will say this. The Carolina Panthers are on the clock. I think they'll be the worst team in the league again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know if we have time for another one unless you want to just say what happened to State.
Quarterback play was poor. We're going to talk about that when we come back. I don't know if it's a season-long thing, but it certainly happened Saturday night.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
I want to talk to those of you out there who are contact lens wearers who are tired of wasting time and money. Time. I did it every day. You put the contacts in, you take them out, you clean them, you order new ones. I need my glasses. Where are my glasses? I can't find my glasses. Prescription sunglasses. Why do I need these? They're not really as effective. I could go on and on. Dr. Lori Travers and Travers LASIK are your answers to my question. In just 5 minutes per eye, Dr. Lori put me on the path to 20/20 vision. It's totally painless. You can go back to work the very next day if that is a selling point for you. And 2 years, 0 interest financing is available. All you have to do is call 919-510-6830. Make the call now. 919-510-6830. Ditch contact lenses forever. Or you could go online, TraversLasik.com. Either way, Travers LASIK. See what you've been missing. Whether it's the future of college football or my love for the Ryder Cup, it's all found in the Best of the Adam Gold Show podcast, brought to you by Coach Pete at Capital Financial Advisory Group. Visit us at capitalfinancialusa.com.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up! And call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
Homeowners, listen up. Loan Pronto now has mortgage rates that start with a 4. Hey, it's Dennis Cox for Loan Pronto. It's true. Mortgage rates have plummeted to lows we haven't seen in a long time. If your current rate is over 6%, you can dump it and lower your house payment big time. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner with a 4.99% APR. Whether you got your loan last week, last month, or last year, it's time to call Loan Pronto. Even if you're in the process with another lender, stop now and call Loan Pronto. Ask about their zero-cost reduction home loan. You can lock in a lower rate with no closing costs in a matter of days with almost no paperwork and usually no appraisal. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now. Loan Pronto can give you a rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 919-381-1760 or loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. On approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Grainger. Grainger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Raleigh's injury lawyers.
Bounces his way into the end zone. Touchdown!
Visit GotBrian.com.
That's GotBrian.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
You're listening to the Adam Gold Show.
Dave, you said earlier in the week this was going to be a line of scrimmage game. Was that ultimately the case?
Yeah, and they won it. Yeah, I mean, it was a game where we were not getting movement. We couldn't run the football. And ultimately, we didn't stop the run, and the game got away from us, obviously, in the second half, playing on a short field on defense and trying to get some 4th and 1s and things like that to keep the drives alive, and we didn't convert. We turned the ball over 3 times. It's hard to win. You only get so many possessions, and you turn it over on 3 of them. It's tough.
It was a disaster at the Duke's Mayo Classic. A disaster. And what was worse is that they kept showing highlights of people having mayonnaise dumped on them or a mayonnaise eating contest, which is visually nauseating. And it was kind of an improvement over watching the game. This is the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria is here. We will set the Panthers aside for just a little bit. Real quick, if you're just tuning in, Derek Brown will have knee surgery to repair a torn meniscus and is expected to be out for the rest of the season. So the best player, either side of the ball for the Panthers, Derek Brown, lost for the year off a defense that was already challenged. So nothing at all good about that. Nothing
Salt in
at
the
all.
wound.
Yeah. Boy, it does feel as though there's an old Yogi Berra-ism, and he was referring to the fact that one, either left field or right field, the sun really got to you in like the late afternoon more than it would in any other ballpark. And he said it gets late early out there. It feels like it's worse than just week one. And I don't think there is a single Panthers fan that believes that, yeah, that's just week one.
No.
Everybody has they have scars from last season and watching that, and they saw something that was not only arguably worse, it was data-wise worse than anything we saw last year. There's a stat called expected points allowed. The Panthers' performance was the worst in the last 14 years of the Panthers.
And that's saying something.
Incredible. And just to bring it back home to where so many people point their aim their slings and arrows, was that 17 of the worst 25 Panthers performances have come since David Tepper bought the team.
Yep.
So
I made a tweet about that guy too yesterday.
Yeah. 17 of the worst 25.
Wow.
That is not easy. He hasn't been the owner all that long.
Yeah. Well, and if you made Vegas projections, they had them winning like 4.5, I think was the line. So you know, if you took the under, you should feel good, I guess.
I mean,
that's
again,
one way to look at it.
I do want to say, I'm just going to leave the caveat, it's just week one, but it certainly didn't look very good. All right. This is what got forgotten as we were lamenting the Panthers start. NC State struggled a little bit to block Western Carolina. They allowed a couple of big plays to Western Carolina. Ultimately, they leaned on them, scored 21 points in the fourth quarter and one going away. And it wasn't a great start against Tennessee. However, it was 10-3. You had the ball, putting together a nice little drive, picked up a couple of first downs. Hollywood Smothers had a couple of nice little delay runs. All of a sudden you went, hey, wait a second. Maybe the Wolfpack are finding their legs. You're going to punch this in, get it to 10-10, and now it's on. And then Grayson McCall made the most critical mistake of the game, and he threw an interception on what was really a tight end screen and overthrew it. It was picked off, went the other way for 6. So at the very least, you're looking at 10-6 and maybe some momentum, maybe 10-10 and a lot of momentum. And now it's 17-3. And frankly, if it were a boxing match, there would have been a standing 8. And they never recovered from it. I am not going to say that if State had scored a touchdown there, 10-10, it would have been a completely different ballgame. Because what we saw from that point to the end kind of leads me to believe that, that would have just delayed the inevitable, that Tennessee is significantly better than NC State. But it is also one of those things that we just don't know the answer to based on human nature. Sometimes momentum matters within the course of a game. I would just say it was very, very early in that game, but there were signs early on that State wasn't going to be up to it, and mostly it was because they couldn't run the ball, and you heard Dave Doran talk about that. But if you watched the game, there was one thing that was obvious. Whether it was Tennessee, whether it was the bright lights of national television, Grayson McCall was not up to it. What did Dave Doran, well, what would he say to Grayson McCall?
Yeah, he's very competitive, mad at himself right now. Get back, study it, flush it, and move on, and he'll be excited to play the next game. I have great confidence in Grayson. And sometimes you have games like that as a quarterback, and as a head coach, I completely believe in him.
I don't blame Dave Doran for saying that. And Dave Doran might be 100% right. Whereas I'm super concerned about Bryce Young. I will say this about what happened to the Wolfpack Saturday night. It might ultimately not matter at all. It really might. Or might not, actually. Because it's very possible that Tennessee was the best team State would have played all year. Although, 2 weeks from now, and they announce the game time for the Clemson game, it'll be a noon game. NC State playing at Clemson. So that's cool. I like to me that's the best. That's college football, a noon start. What happened against Tennessee should not stop NC State from having a very good ACC season. It is possible that Grayson McCall is limited, but that might not matter. Let's see what State's personnel does against teams in the ACC. Like I said, it's possible Tennessee is just too good. The Tennessee Volunteers team with that quarterback, it's possible they're just too good. I think they're better than Clemson, Tennessee. I think State can go there and win that game. But again, we'll know a little bit more about the Wolfpack after Louisiana Tech. I think we saw an angry Clemson team. And I think Clemson has a bye week this week before the State game. So we have no clue what to expect now. But I know there are a lot of people thinking back to last year with Brennan Armstrong and see, same thing. You might be right. We don't know. But that was a poor performance by Grayson McCall. A flat-out poor performance. But Doran talked about struggling to run the football and stop the run, and that's what it boils down to.
I mean, I'll have to watch the film to give you a detail. I mean, it looked like we were just getting knocked into the backfield a lot. I said this all week. Their defensive line was our biggest concern, particularly defensive tackles, and we think those guys are really good players, and we just did not block them up front the way that we have to run the football. And so, it was a combination of things, and it's impossible for me to tell you exactly what they were, but I watched the line of scrimmage all night, and it wasn't going our way. It was going their way.
That was honest. Because that's kind of, to a lesser extent, what we saw against Western. We talked about it all week. My biggest concern going into the game was, could State run the ball at all on Tennessee? And honestly, no. Now, Hollywood Smothers had a couple of good runs. He did. A little bit of a change of pace. There was a little bit of a delay game when they ran it with him. But honestly, their offensive line got big boyed by Tennessee. Tennessee's also got an elite level quarterback. Panthers fans, he's not coming out in this year's draft.
Yeah.
Just saying. Just saying. All right, there was one, two local teams that won. UNC won. They beat Charlotte at home. Good for them. Connor Harrell got the start. Max Johnson is done. And Mac Brown was happy.
Thought Connor did a lot of really good things. We were 6 for 11 on third down. We ran for 269 yards. We threw it for 221 yards. And we can do a better job in that area. But I thought that this will be a great teachable moment game for him.
All right. It bears repeating that Charlotte isn't good, but Connor Harrell needed to see some good he didn't play poorly, and they won the game against Minnesota, and he was the quarterback of record when they did it. So I'm not going to denigrate what he did, but it was pretty clear that they didn't have much of a passing offense, and it hampered the rushing offense. So when they go up against the team that can really match them in terms of athleticism, and that will not happen this week with NC Central as the opponent, but when Carolina does get into league play, it's going to look, heck, it might look different against James Madison. So we'll see what happens down the road, but UNC is now 2-0. The most impressive performance, at least locally, on the weekend was Duke, who didn't look good for much of the game against Northwestern, but somehow managed to get the game into overtime. And then Malik Murphy to Jordan Moore looked like an NFL combination. Right down to the fact that Jordan Moore was making spectacular catches, and Manny Diaz was thrilled.
Told the team just a moment ago that I'm in awe of their effort, of all of the adversity that we went through tonight, some self-inflicted, some caused by an amazing effort by Northwestern. Our ability to persevere and overcome was remarkable.
Duke didn't look like the better team at any point in that game and won it. And I said this on Twitter, and of course it was going to get pushed back, even though it's really not worth pushing back on, that it's amazing to me that I think it was before last season where Jordan Moore was like, no, you're not a quarterback anymore. You're going to be a wide receiver. And he was immediately good. And now he looks like he belongs in the National Football League. And so I just said he might be an NFL receiver. I'm not even changing the wording on that because honestly, there's a lot of guys who look great in college that aren't NFL receivers. But I do think he's got a chance to be an NFL receiver. When you watch the way he runs pass routes, that is uncanny for somebody who's only been playing the position for 16 months. He really does seem to have a knack for it. And then Duke fans are like, he's the best receiver in the league. I mean, Casey Concepcion would like a word. But
big time.
Put those two guys on the same team and you terrorize other teams. I think they are the two best receivers in the ACC, hands down. And I'm not saying there aren't other good receivers in the league, but I mean, the catch he made jumping back outside because Murphy had to fit the ball in kind of behind him a little bit was just a spectacular catch. And back-to-back passes over the middle to create overtime scores. Phenomenal stuff. Jordan Moore really is one of those guys. Duke's 2-0. This was probably the most difficult non-conference game that they will play. And can they get a couple of wins in the league? Murphy's got a big arm. I still worry about Duke's ability or inability to run, but Northwestern also in many ways blew that game, but that's fine. Duke will take it. All right, when we come back, Mike Felder at In the Bleachers from Sirius XM and Bleacher Report. He's a football maven. He's a college football guy. We'll talk to him about what we saw in Charlotte and around the country next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Football is on the menu tonight.
Showtime, prime time.
And we're dishing up a clash of conferences.
Hot dog, man.
It's the New York Jets and San Francisco.
Dominate on 3, 1, 2, 3, dominate.
Pregame starts at 7:30.
Get ready.
The NFL on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wake Med.
Here we go.
99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Monday night, you gotta feel it.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friend Coach Pete D'Arruda, Capital Financial Advisory Group in Apex. And based on what we watched yesterday, what do we do when we get into the financial red zone? We don't fumble. We don't throw interceptions. We plan for retirement with Coach Pete D'Arruda, who is the expert in that department. 888-843-0013 or text Adam to 600-700. That will get you with Coach Pete D'Arruda and his merry band of fiduciaries down at Capital Financial. And what that means is that they are legally obligated to consider your needs above, like, commissions and things like that. They want you to retire on your terms with everything you need to live the life you want, the life you deserve in retirement. 888-843-0013. And we're going to get you a total customized retirement plan for you, free of charge. It's a $1,000 value to somebody else. Coach Pete D'Arruda, 888-843-0013. Call today.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season. And that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great. It's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Planning a tailgate? Then it's bow time. Bojangles has everything you need for the perfect tailgate, no matter how many fans you're trying to feed. There's the original tailgate, the super tailgate, and for a really big crowd, the jumbo tailgate special. And if you like your chicken off the bone, choose the Supreme's tailgate special that includes 12 perfectly seasoned tenderloin fillets. So grab the tickets, get that Bojangles tailgate special, and go. It's bow time.
At the UPS Store, we understand the importance of a first impression. That's why we're here to help you put your best foot forward and be unstoppable with our printing services. With high-quality paper stock options, banners, business cards, menus, and more, we make sure your small business stands out and your message reaches the masses. After all, we're the one-stop prints that pop store. Most locations are independently owned. Product, services, prices, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Be unstoppable. Come into your local store today and get your print on.
Our state's future begins with our students. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery has contributed over $10 billion to education. Through scholarships, school construction, support staff, and pre-K programs, lottery dollars move our state forward, helping students become the best versions of themselves. Visit movingncstudentsforward.com and share how your student or school community has benefited for a chance to earn $2,000 for your story. Must be 18 to play. Problem Gambling Helpline 877-718-5543.
CertaPro Painters knows how important your home is to you. That's why they're focused on helping you bring a fresh color to your home. And you know you can trust CertaPro Painters to get the job done right, even in those hard-to-reach places. I'm Adam Gold. I had them do my house one time, and we have vaulted ceilings. They did it all. And each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. In other words, they live right here in our community. You can schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro Painters.
This is Adam Gold.
He said he could talk about his golf game. He did say it wasn't great, and I said, hey, no judgment here. I'm a drive shacker and a putt-putter myself.
None of us are good. Even those of us that are good aren't really good.
Right, yeah.
We're just not.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. We'll catch up with Mike Felder in a little bit. So, going into the game on Saturday night, I mean, NC State's got all of these new skill position weapons. Last year was really, it was barren. Didn't really have the personnel at running back. You ended up really with one wide receiver who could make plays in KC Concepcion. And it was really a work in progress. And how much of their offense, especially, early and late, came from Brennan Armstrong running. And he was no good throwing, but he made tons of plays with his legs. And then we had the whole, bring the kid in, and the kid, he's good, and then the kid wants to go. I forget his name now. That's what happens when you get to be my age. And then he leaves. Or no, I want a red shirt. It was really paving the way to leave. And that obviously didn't sit well, but it's whatever I tried to say. And Armstrong comes back in, and his leadership and his ability to make plays with his legs kind of mitigated the problem. And they ended up having a pretty good year. Nobody's denying that. And then they get into the transfer portal, and Grayson McCall, and you add the wide receivers that they add, Rodgers, Grimes, the tight end, Jolie, Jordan Waters, couple of offensive linemen come in. You've got Anthony Belton. By the way, I thought the calls on Belton for not being on the line of scrimmage were, I can't say what I need to say. I thought those were horrific calls. No advantage was gained. It wasn't like he was 2 yards in the backfield. He was maybe a yard off the ball. Like, just gross how bad those calls were, especially since on one of the calls, it was pretty clear to me that the defense had lined up in the neutral zone. In fact, the commentator said so. I'm like, oh, he's lined up in the neutral zone. And then they run the play, the flag is thrown, and who was doing the game? Was it Reese Davis and Kirk Herbstreit? I think Herbstreit said, yeah, looks like he was lined up in the neutral zone, and then they called Belton for illegal formation. It was the second, I think that was the first of two. It might have been the second of two. I thought that call was terrible. But ultimately, the gap between NC State and Tennessee was at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Tennessee was able to run the ball pretty much at will, and NC State had zero success running the ball, except with a couple of plays from Hollywood Smothers. And that's really what it comes down to. If you have a good offensive line or a great offensive line, same thing on the defensive side of the ball, it's going to make up for a lot of other issues. And to me, watching that game, it looked like an unfair fight at the line of scrimmage. Mike Felder, Bleacher Report, at In the Bleachers. My man, Sirius XM, knows more about football than I will ever know. So let's talk about what happened in your neck of the woods Saturday night. Does it come down to State just wasn't nearly as good as Tennessee on the line of scrimmage?
Not close. Not close. That was bad, man.
Yeah.
What was the final? 51 to
10.
Yeah, that's bad.
it was bad.
We're both laughing at it, but like the reality is like that's bad.
Yeah, and we saw early on that they were not going to be able to run the ball. Although they, at 10-3 when they're driving and there's a couple of Hollywood Smothers runs, those are a little bit, a little delay game, a little misdirection. They found something, and that maybe it would open up the rest. And Grayson McCall just wasn't very good. Do you think that's because we loved him coming out of Coastal? But is that it's different when you're playing at Coastal versus when you're playing in Charlotte against a team like Tennessee?
I think there's that part, but I also think they're just like up front, and with the exception of, and I asked this question so today's Monday. I asked this question on Friday. I said, is Grayson McCall to Concepcion enough? Apparently not.
Well, no, they have other guys, but I'm not sure it really mattered.
That's what I was going to say. Is I don't think like you need Grayson McCall to Concepcion to be a problem to get to the other guys, and it just didn't happen. And obviously no run game. That's a problem.
Yeah,
and it's very hard. It was hard to watch. Like it was. Oh, buddy. Oh, Tennessee came out and they were like I got to do a show tomorrow for the it's like a playoff prediction thing, and
Right.
Tennessee has now moved up, especially thanks to what Michigan and Notre Dame did.
Right. Absolutely.
But they've moved up, and it's like, oh boy. Because I had NC State kind of hovering around, and now you just look at them and you're like, man, if you can't run, even in the ACC, if you can't run, you're going to be you are going to find problems week in and week out.
Right. It really doesn't have to be all that complicated.
Yeah.
In the NFL, if you just want to, stand back in the pocket and throw it 50 times, if you have the right quarterback and protection and receivers, you can get away with that. You really can't do that in college football. You got to be able to run it and stop the run, and that was the difference in the game. So let me just spin this a little bit forward, because the reason I'm not going to discount NC State going forward is because I don't know that they're going to see another Tennessee. Yes, Clemson defensively is certainly along those same lines, and it may be difficult in 2 weeks at noon for the Wolfpack to do anything against the Tigers. But the rest of their schedule in the league, they might end up being fine. Granted, we all have this frame of reference now about what they didn't do against Tennessee and what Clemson might pose. But I'm not ready to throw them away based on that game, because I'm not sure they're going to play another team like that.
No, listen, I didn't throw away Clemson either.
Right, I didn't either.
I didn't throw Clemson away. I think so let's do it. You ready, Gold?
Yeah.
What is that, La Tech?
Yeah, I'd like to see him run the ball against Louisiana Tech, but they didn't really do that against Western Carolina.
Clemson is probably going to be a problem.
Yeah.
After what we saw, Northern Illinois.
That's right. I totally forgot that's on the schedule. I'm hoping that was a one-off. And State's not paying him $1.4 million to come to Raleigh, are they?
I don't think so, but that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is Connor Basilick is he's like, guys, I played against Georgia for 3 years. What are we going to do? I'm not scared of you.
Right.
I'm not scared. I can do this. And you look at Wake. Syracuse is interesting.
Yeah, Syracuse is.
Cal, by the way, what a win for them.
Yep, we're very pro Cal in the ACC now, by the way.
And they didn't even have Jaden Ott.
Oh, really? He did. They went to Auburn, beat the Tigers without their star.
He was. I think he was hurt.
Oh, wow.
And by the way, Basilick's not the guy I was talking about. Basilick is at Bowling Green. That's the game against Penn State.
Right.
Ooh, Penn State, yeah.
I didn't
yell at me online all day about how good Penn State is with what we got out of that game. Stanford, Duke, Georgia Tech. If Haynes King is cooking, he cooks.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't look great this weekend, obviously.
Right.
And then you throw in UNC, which is going to be a problem anyway.
Right. I still think State. I still think State will be okay.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
What do you think about North Carolina?
I can't. You can't judge against Charlotte because Charlotte is obviously no good. Their roster is a mess. Their program is unfortunately a mess. So it's impossible to judge anything from this game. Look, I don't think they have any semblance of a passing game. And I feel bad for Amari and Hampton because if I was playing against North Carolina, I'd put 10 guys on the line of scrimmage and dare Connor Harrell to beat me. And if he can't, then I win the game. If he can, then I have to adjust, but I would do it that way. I would just not let Amari and Hampton get crazy.
Because obviously, Ott, I don't know if he's hurt. Ott did not play. I think he got 10 carries. And they just were like, you're going on the bench, by my man. And I'm sorry if you heard that. they're building a greenway in my backyard.
Oh, fine. I love green spaces. We need that. We know you have a lovely backyard though, so you already have a nice green space. Mike Felder is joining us at In the Bleachers on Twitter from Bleacher Report and Sirius XM Radio. Real quick about the Tar Heels, and I said this after the first game, is that you don't want to make too much of it, but it looked like they had a number of playmakers on the defensive side of the ball, specifically on the defensive line. And I thought that was a good sign for them going forward. But I don't know, again, Charlotte, we can't draw any conclusions from that game. I'll be interested to see, and this week against Central, you're not going to, basically the same deal. Actually, I'm not sure Central's not better than Charlotte. But I'll be interested to see how UNC's defensive front holds up over the course of the season.
Got to stay healthy, one. Two, you throw in you got Ritchie, you got Campbell, and you have Rucker. And Rucker, to me, Rucker was at ACC Media Days, which was great. And talking to him was super cool because he's hyper-focused. And this is a guy that, it's always Gold, you know this about me. I played college football. I wasn't good, but I like to size guys up.
Right.
And so what this is like. Every time after you do an interview, you stand up and you shake hands.
Right.
I like to see how big their hands are. I like to see how tall they actually are. And Rucker is tall.
Well, to me, everybody's tall. You're tall, but I think you're actually deceptively tall.
Yes, deceptively tall is a very good way to put it. I'm still shorter than my wife.
No, you're not.
6'1".
Oh, wow. That's right. She's very tall. She's very tall.
6'1", but I like to shake hands, and I like to do like palm on palm and see how tall guys are. And Rucker's got all those measurables to me. Like he's like a true 6'3" guy.
Mm-hmm.
He also has hands that are bigger than my hands, and I have huge hands. As someone who's 5'10" and a half, 5'11", I still have almost 10-inch hands. To see someone have those big hands like that. So I think they're going to be okay up front, but it's a matter of, and this is a new thing that we have to deal with, right, is the green sticker. We got to deal with that green sticker.
Oh, that's right.
And that's the thing I'm more interested in is the green sticker because Campbell has a green sticker.
The communication, absolutely.
Yeah, the comms. And so you've got to – some teams have done it in a really good way where they wait until the offense gets to 15 and then they move and then the coach can't tell them what to do. And defensively, you have to on defense, you have to have a guy who knows what he's doing after 15 so that he can tell guys how to move once they go into motion after. And I think Campbell has Campbell's the guy that's got the green sticker, so you got to figure that out.
All right, final thing from Mike Felder at In the Bleachers on Twitter, Sirius XM and Bleacher Report. I know the SEC's got 6 of the top 7 teams in the country, and honestly, I'm not arguing with it. A lot of these teams look amazing. Certainly Tennessee does. With Syracuse, Missouri, so is that a thing this week? And why are we doing that? Why is Syracuse doing that? But Miami from the ACC. I know Florida's probably not that good, but is Miami that good?
Why? What? Why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I'm doing that because right now they look like the best team in this league, although it still might be Clemson when we're all said and done. But Miami, certainly, that was a statement game in week 1.
I think that I do think that Miami is very good. I think this is a team that has an opportunity to win the ACC. Like, I think that you and I, you know what? I think you and I, maybe we have a drink together the first week of December.
Okay.
And Miami is the team that's there. I'm no joke.
Right.
But I do think, because think about it. Think about the other teams that we had in there, right? We had Florida State.
Gone.
No way.
Gone. They
Virginia
couldn't.
Tech.
They couldn't run it or stop the run in Ireland.
Yeah. Virginia Tech.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
Iced.
Yeah.
And so what we're dealing with, and Clemson, to me, Clemson might be it. You know what's crazy, Gold? Clemson could have a bye in the first round.
That's how.
Am
That
I
might
wrong?
be the only way they get to round 2.
But I'm not wrong, right?
No, you're 100% right.
could have
Until
a
further
bye in the
notice, their
first round.
offense is still. I know they scored 66 on app, but until further notice, their offense has to prove it to me.
Yeah. No, I agree. I 100% agree with you. I think that they are a work in progress. I think that the biggest thing for me, you know how we talk about, like, you have to push your baby birds out of the nest? That's what they have to do, and they have to do it against a real team. And that's the part that's going to be interesting for me.
I think State,
Is
Clemson.
watching-
Yeah.
Yeah, Clemson's going to have to push. They got to push those birds out of the nest. And seeing Antonio Williams was good against Georgia, but I need to see him do it. And I need to see him not just catch the 20-yard pass. I need the 45-yard game where he gets to the end zone.
I just want to see anybody be dynamic. And again, they hung one on app. That was an absolutely angry Clemson Tigers team. Mike Felder at In the Bleachers, SiriusXM Bleacher Report. Man who knows more about football and greenways than anybody I know. And he has huge hands, 10-inch hands. I don't know what that means, but I'm impressed. Mike, I'll talk to you very soon, my friend.
Yeah, all I'm saying is you gotta score. And yes, I have huge. I will send you a picture of this. So thank you so much for having me.
You got it. Thanks, Mike Felder. We got hand size. This is fantastic.
I know.
Look, I'm looking at my hands. Not size 10. I don't have 10-inch hands.
Can't say I've ever measured mine,
Says-
so I don't think I do either.
Says everything that you need to know about me. When we come back, we will stretch. We will place bets. All of that next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
What a great NFL weekend that was, and you have another chance to start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 wager on tonight's game. How about a Breece Hall anytime touchdown, which is plus 130, Christian McCaffrey over 75.5 rushing yards, and Aaron Rodgers over 235.5 passing yards. There you go with a single game parlay. Just visit FanDuel.com/AGS to make every moment more this season. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Everyone goes through tough times, and everyone can get through them, as long as they don't have to do it alone. Dial 988 if you need someone to talk to. Get what you need to get to a better place. Together, we'll find the care that works best for you. We're here 24/7. Call, text, or chat 988. 988. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
ACT Construction Equipment is proud to be your certified local Takeuchi dealer in Charlotte, Winston-Salem, Asheville, Wilmington, and Myrtle Beach. Takeuchi has long been a world leader in the compact construction industry. Let ACT Construction Equipment help you find the right machine for the job. Our full line of excavators, track loaders, and attachments are designed for low maintenance and high productivity. Visit us online at actce.com to schedule a demo. ACT Taki Construction Equipment, your authorized Takeuchi dealer.
Did you know Atlantic hurricane season runs through November? From gathering necessary supplies to planning an evacuation route, now is the time to make sure you and your family are prepared. And if a storm damages our electric system, local public power providers are ready to respond and restore power quickly and safely. As a public power customer, you benefit from having an electricity provider that restores power faster than other providers do. Visit electricities.com for storm preparation tips and resources.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, we believe that getting to know you is the best way to protect what you love most. We have friendly agents in every county to help you prepare for the unexpected. And when life doesn't go as planned, our award-winning claims team will be with you every step of the way. Find a local agent today at ncfbins.com. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
Visiting the North Carolina Zoo in Asheboro is a family tradition, perfect for fun outdoor adventure. Founded in 1974, this year marks North Carolina Zoo's 50th anniversary, and the zoo is celebrating all year long. Enjoy the antics of the baboon babies, take a ride on the endangered species carousel, and wonder at the massive elephants of the Watani grasslands. Make cherished family memories today. Plan your trip at nczoo.org. Open 7 days a week in Asheboro.
Have you ever noticed how little things can make a big difference? Words like, I'm sorry. Like, can I help? Like, have a good day. And it never hurts to say thank you. Couple those words with a big smile and you've got a good chance to make someone's day. In North Carolina, we have always taken pride in being kind to everybody. Little things do make a difference. Makes you feel better. Makes everyone around you feel better.
This is Adam Gold.
He said he could talk about his golf game. He did say it wasn't great, and I said, hey, no judgment here. I'm a drive shacker and a putt-putter myself.
None of us are good. Even those of us that are good aren't really good.
Right, yeah.
We're just not.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria's here. Felder sent me a picture of his hand stretching out on a tape measure. Yeah, 10-inch span.
There you go.
I said he could palm a pumpkin, and he said and a basketball, and I responded with at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can't do that. All right, we have there's a lot to do. We are going to place bets. By the way, I think every team I thought would win in week one lost in the NFL.
Yeah, it was a weird week.
Yeah. I think every team I thought would either win or do well.
Yeah. Like
lost.
the Falcons. I'm still shocked about that one.
I'm not as shocked because the Steelers have such a good defense.
Or the Patriots beating the Bengals.
That was alarming because I know the Patriots have a good defense, but when you trade your best defensive player away and you shut down a team like the Bengals, then I think it says more about the Bengals than it does the Patriots. I would be worried if I were a Bengals fan. Remember, Joe Burrow's coming off a wrist injury. And for a quarterback, that's a difficult injury to come back from. You know, you have shoulder injuries like a torn labrum. It's hard to throw, if that's your shoulder injury. That's what got Cam Newton the second time. Came back from it the first time. Second time is when it clearly looked different. But a wrist injury as a quarterback, that is very difficult. So maybe it'll take Joe Burrow a little bit of time to get up to speed. You also had T. Higgins hurt, Jamar Chase, who had been holding in. Right? They did not look dynamic in any way, shape, or form. So I thought that said more about the Bengals than it did the Patriots.
Yeah.
But, we got a lot. There's a lot still to think about coming out of week one. But I don't know where we're going with that, but let's stretch.
Okay, so I had to start with this one because I had no idea, but apparently September 9th is the most common day to have a birthday. So happy birthday to anybody who has one. Yeah, I did not know this. So yeah, they did. Let me see who did this research.
My son turns 16 on Sunday.
Oh, nice.
Coming up on Sunday.
Nice.
Yes.
Well,
we have nothing planned.
Oh, it's the Social Security Administration. According to them, this is why it's the first day, which they would, of course, know. Then September 19th is the next, and the 12th is after that one.
September 19th
is the second most popular birthday.
Let me subtract 9 months from...
Well, I can help you. It's early December. That's what it said. The top 10.
A lot of things happen on New Year's Eve.
Uh-huh. The top 10 are actually all days that fall between September 9th and September 20th, because if you count backwards, that's early December. So a lot of almost Christmas babies. A lot of activities around Christmas.
Yeah,
so
New Year's Eve would be a lot of premature.
Yes.
Well, not that premature.
Which September, I thought also was interesting, isn't the most common month to be born. It's actually August, and then July, and then September. So I don't know. There must be just even more birthdays in August. Yeah, exactly. So, and the least common is February. But then there's March babies like me. So I guess that's the resurgence.
I'm in August.
Nice. Well,
Rod
there you go.
Brindamore's in August.
There you go. That's the most common month. So you guys have that in common. Now, if it is your birthday today, there's a lot of free deals out there. You can go to people.com, and they have like a whole thing that they rounded up all different kinds of stuff.
Really?
So you can see what kind of deals in your area are available for your birthday. Now, if you haven't heard, we know who's going to be doing the Super Bowl halftime show this year. Kendrick Lamar is going to be the headliner for this year's Super Bowl halftime show, so they are not taking my advice and going with rock yet again, but that's okay. I'm sure there'll be a lot of Shade and Drake references in this one, so there'll be a lot of Easter eggs. But the Super Bowl 59 will go down February 9th in Nolans. So, yeah, the Panthers don't do good in Nolans. So, and
Why? So
somebody
what?
tweeted at me.
It's not like they're
like,
going to be in the Super Bowl.
No, somebody tweeted at me yesterday, and they were like, so do you think the Panthers will end their season where they started it? And I was like, nope, I sure don't. They'll be in the stadium watching from the seats.
They'll have somebody from the organization there, because
Mhm.
every team is represented in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
at
Well,
the Super Bowl.
and if you are watching a game from the seats, any NFL game, they have rounded up a website called sportscasting.com, has rounded up where you could get the cheapest or most expensive beer and hot dog. So, on average, you're going to pay about $15.02 for a beer and a hot dog. However, they do have the highest and the lowest one. So if you're going to be in Seattle, it's not just high elevation, it's also expensive because it's going to cost you $19.98.
For a beer and a dog?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, I don't think that's awful, as long as that's not a 12-ounce beer.
I know, exactly. Well, the next ones are the LA Rams and the Chargers with $19 also. And then Chicago, Saints, Jacksonville. All of them also have 19. I can tell you Chicago does have high hot dog and beer prices from experience. Now, if you want to go to the least expensive, you can go where the Dirty Birds are, because Atlanta Falcons, they only charge about $7.50. Or you could go to the Panther Stadium where they should be giving you beer when you're there to watch the game.
Oh, my gosh, they should be bribing everybody.
So, yeah, you could just save money and maybe drink your pack at home. So, yeah, there you go. If you have plans of going out anywhere, you're going to have to bring a lot of cash, so. A lot of cash.
Well, a lot of places don't even accept
Yeah, they don't
cash
take
anymore.
cash. It's all by the card, so. Yeah, well, you got to bring that. And last but not least, maybe if you had anything to do with making Beetlejuice, then you have plenty of cash to spend because it made $100 million at the box office this weekend.
Beetlejuice made $100 million?
Yes.
I haven't seen. I saw the original.
Yeah, well, I've seen
this
the
one.
original, but I kind of want to see this one. I've heard some good things, but yeah, apparently a lot of other people were interested in seeing it too. So if you were, you're not alone. They made about $100 million. But It'd be really cool if we could maybe make $100 million on our picks.
Yeah,
Place your bets. Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
All right, I lost everything that I did over the weekend. I'm almost positive.
I
It was
didn't
just
do
a
too bad
disaster.
with my fights. Didn't do too bad. I was pretty happy with it. Didn't put any real units on it, but fake unit-wise, I got Natalia Silva by the points. That was plus 110. And then
Nice.
Sean Brady by the points, plus 165. So there you go.
I had Indianapolis, I had Carolina, I had Washington, I had State. Yeah, it's just bad. I got them all wrong.
It's okay. It's a new day. It's a new week, actually. So we'll flush
listen to
it,
me.
as Dave Dorrance.
Just don't listen to me.
We'll just flush it. So tonight, I'm doing all football. New York Jets in San Francisco taking on those 49ers. Give me George Kittle to be an anytime goal scorer. Plus 200. He's still plus money, so yeah.
All right, well, I'm gonna go to touchdown, goal scorer, touchdown scorer.
There you go.
Okay. I'm going to go Bryce Hall for the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
First touchdown, plus 700.
Oh, nice. First touchdown.
Yes.
I'm
going to build on that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Perfect. So next up, I'm going to pick the first half and end of regulation winner before I pick my over-unders. So I think maybe the Jets will come out hot, but then the San Francisco 49ers are going to finish it. So give me the Jets to win at the half and the San Francisco 49ers to win plus 700.
Jets will score a touchdown on their first drive, plus 390. That will be a Bryce Hall touchdown.
Okay. Nice. Well, my last one, because I said it, I'm going to take the 49ers. Give me the Niners to win, and I'm going to go over 43.5 points. That's plus 180. I think it could be high scoring today.
Jets win outright, also over 43.5, plus 355.
Oh, bigger
Lots
money
of
with that
value
one.
for you today.
Yeah.
Lots of value for you today. By the way, the Mets' 9-game winning streak came to an end.
Oh, no.
Right? Yes, yesterday they lost to the Reds, 3-1, snapping their 9-game winning streak. Mets and Braves are now tied for the third wild card spot. Those two teams will meet, I think, in 10 days in Atlanta for a 3-game series, which I'd like to think will decide who gets that third wild card spot. But I think even if the Mets were to win that series, unless it's a sweep, I don't believe the Mets are going to get that spot. The Mets' schedule after this week,
it's tough.
Right, after these 3 games in Toronto, the Mets' schedule is very difficult. Braves' schedule, not as daunting. I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's certainly not as daunting. The Mets are basically done with the weak teams in their division. I don't believe they have anything left with Miami or the Nationals. I think they're through with that. But they do have 3 left with the Braves, and they will be in Philadelphia. I think they have 7 games left with the Phillies. I just don't think the Mets are going to make the playoffs. But I do think and I think that they'll kind of fall behind it tonight with a loss at Toronto, plus 114. Little bonus baseball.
Oh, there you go.
Little bonus
baseball right before we get into the playoffs. Almost.
Man, I am looking forward. Baseball's playoffs are great, and even if the Mets don't make it, I will be eagerly anticipating, and I will be a huge watcher of the MLB playoffs. I think Major League Baseball playoffs are awesome.
Oh, yeah, it's fun.
And it is truly the sport where anybody can win. Just look at last year. When we come back, Wall of Sound, and we'll get an update on the Panthers next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold here from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. The NFL is back, well, all except the Panthers. And you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 wager on tonight's game for new customers. Let's build a single-game parlay. Bryce Hall, anytime touchdown. Christian McCaffrey, over rushing yards or over pass receptions. Aaron Rodgers, over touchdown passes. Or how about just plays on the field? Visit FanDuel.com/AdamGold to make every moment more with FanDuel. FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The new bonus edition Buck Scratch-Off's got a first ever bonus game in the Outback.
You mean on the back, not Outback.
What's on the back?
The bonus game.
Then what's on the front?
Prizes up to $1 million.
I thought the game was called Bucks.
It is. Just forget it.
Crikey, mate. Don't go telling people to forget it. The whole point is for them to be remembering it.
The all-new bonus edition Buck Scratch-Offs from the North Carolina Education Lottery. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 3.81 to 4.75. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Hey, it's Adam Gold here, and I want to tell you about a life-changing event. And this can come in many forms. Hey, a good carrot cake just might be a life-changing event. A tiramisu? Oh my gosh. Or, how about this? Getting rid of contact lenses and glasses forever, as I did. Don't laugh, it's true. Dr. Lori Travers at Travers LASIK got rid of my contact lenses and my glasses and everything that goes along with it forever. It took 5 minutes per eye. It was totally painless. I was able to go back to work the very next day, and 0% financing for 24 months is available. I went from $2,250 to $20/20 vision in one procedure. Incredible stuff. All you got to do, the consultation is free, so call 919-510-6830, 919-510-6830, online, traverslasik.com. Get rid of contacts, get rid of glasses, and everything that goes along with it forever. Travers LASIK, see what you've been missing.
Experience a Raleigh tradition. Head to Amedio's Italian Restaurant, a family favorite for over 60 years. From weekly specials to their famous homemade recipes, Amedio's uses only the freshest ingredients. Need a touchdown for your tailgate? Amedio's offers delicious takeout, perfect for cheering on the Wolfpack. Or they can host your private party. Amedio's even caters. Amedio's Italian Restaurant, Raleigh's Taste of Italy since 1963. Visit AmediosRestaurant.com for details.
It's Tim Donnelly for Window Nation. Right now, buy 2 windows and get 2 free. Plus, pay nothing for 24 months. Hurry, sale ends September 30th, so schedule an in-home estimate at 866-90Nation or at windownation.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, North Carolina's injury lawyers.
Visit GotBryan.com.
That's GotBryan.com. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Man, Justin is, as I've gotten to know him, man, he is a real steady Eddie, man. He's not overly talkative, man, but he's got a steady, strong demeanor. And just being in stadium with him, man, some of the things that I've seen through team development were confirmed. It's just good to be able to communicate with a guy when things get thick and you see the clear eyes. He's there. He's solid as a rock. And I think his play and thus our play is kind of reflective of that.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria produces the program. Mike Tomlin, the head coach of the Steelers. Justin Fields got the start. Russell Wilson was inactive with a calf injury. And while Fields didn't produce any touchdowns, he did help the Steelers get in position to kick 6 field goals.
Right.
In a win over the Falcons.
If you had that kicker in your fantasy, woo!
Yeah, I'm not happy that I have Cincinnati's kicker.
Yeah.
I mean, he kicked the long one, but I don't think I only got 5 points. Whatever. I don't care.
Unfortunately, I have their defense, too, so I get it.
I have the Jets' defense tonight.
There you go.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Maybe.
I'm losing that game by a lot, which is fine. Don't really much concern. I got a D+ on my fantasy draft.
I still need to grade mine. I guess I have.
No, I did not grade it. That was what Yahoo told me.
Right.
Yahoo told me you did a poor job. I agreed with Yahoo.
Right. Yeah.
I agreed with them. I did a poor job.
Graded mine.
Yeah. I love the draft process more than I love any other part of fantasy sports.
Yeah.
But I was very poor at this one. I think I generally do a good job, but I did a very bad job this time.
I have 12 people in my league, so it worked out to where the person right in front of me or the second right in front of me would steal. They'd snipe mine every time. It happened like 4 times, so it's a frustrating process for me.
That's where you have to just have that person removed from the earth.
You're no longer allowed.
That's it.
No.
Get out.
Bye.
Get out. All right, we got a lot of stuff to do. We are going to talk with Mike Kaye, who covers the Panthers for the Charlotte Observer, coming up in our next segment, but we have time for a wall of sound.
The wall of sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
And a lot of stuff from the Panthers' loss to the New Orleans Saints. Still, it's almost, I'm not going to say it's hard to process, but it's jarring because we were all hopeful that it would be different. That this year would provide some glimpses of, okay, I get it. Yeah, you lost, 27-17.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, but it's fine. You belonged on the field. But whoa.
Yeah, exactly.
It was the opposite of that. Yeah. And I think when we talked to Will Brinson earlier, nobody believes that the Saints are the cream of the crop in the league. And you went there and it was men versus like duck decoys.
Yeah.
Well, not even men versus boys. It was awful.
That's the most disturbing thing about it. Is you're going backwards from last year. How do you even do that?
It certainly gave off that appearance. Here's Dave Canales, the head coach, on overall his thoughts.
Well, certainly not the outcome that I was hoping for. If I could, before I even got to watch the film, if I could just talk about 3 turnovers in the teens and explosives that we gave up on the defensive side, a block punt. Those are critical factors. It flips the field. It gives them more possessions. And even when we had our chances, we didn't get our first completion for a while there. So just all around, poor execution in all phases, and particularly when you turn the ball over and you give that offense chances. And what we found out is this is a pretty good offense. And we learned a lot about ourselves today.
Did you like what you learned about yourselves today? Pretty good offense. I think the Saints are probably going to be, maybe they're an upper half of the NFL offense. Statistically, they kind of were last year, right? In terms of all, a lot of the metrics say, they were pretty good offense last year. But they're not like the 49ers or the Chiefs or the Bills or the Texans.
Yeah.
And they're pretty good.
Yeah, and what did you learn about yourself yesterday?
Well, maybe they learned a lot,
that
actually.
You didn't already know from last year.
That's the thing about it that bothered me, was that I expected to see signs of progress.
Yeah.
Okay, now, it's easy to dump on them. It just
Super
is.
Easy.
It's easy to dump on them. Week 1, you have to just control yourself and say, okay. Now, in week 2, at home, against the Chargers team that will probably try and run the ball, because that's Jim Harbaugh's, that's his DNA, running the football. And now you're without Derek Brown, who has a torn meniscus and is out for the season. So your best defensive player, maybe your best player, is off the team for now. How did they possibly fill that void while at the same time getting their inside linebackers to play better than they played? How do you get more pressure on the quarterback, especially if the other team is just pounding you on the ground? There are so many questions that come out of it. Is it possible that Dave Canales can somehow put a positive spin on this?
Yeah, just for me, thinking about it, a loss is a loss. And the nature of the loss, it matters. It's a factor. We look at it, but whether it was by 3 points or as much as it was today, you have to just count them as a loss and then move forward to the next challenge, move forward to growing from the things that we see on film. And that was the message I gave to the team. I said, hey, look, this in weeks from now, it's not going to matter what the score was. We lost. Let's go to the truth of it and let's move on, so that it doesn't have that carryover effect,
Well, I do think it's encouraging that he understands just how far there is to go. And he admitted that the nature of the loss does matter. My biggest takeaway, and it started early, my biggest takeaway is that Bryce Young looks the same as he did a year ago. But it is just game one. But, man, when you throw a pick on your first throw, the first play from scrimmage.
It's terrible.
Now, I believe Sam Darnold, in his rookie year with the Jets, threw a pick six on his first play from scrimmage. Talk about getting off to a flying start.
Exactly.
And hopefully it will not take Bryce Young 7 years to get to a place where he can have a game like Sam Darnold had yesterday.
Well, and it definitely looks like he's seeing ghosts out there with the throws that he was making.
It did remind me. Anyway, Here's Young on the first turnover, making life more difficult.
It doesn't make it harder. Of course, you want to come out and start off on a high note. Didn't happen today, and that's tough. We're gonna wear that today. We're gonna learn from it when we turn the film on tomorrow. But that doesn't define us. Obviously, a long year, and we have to, attack it with urgency and make sure that we're urgent about cleaning things up and fix what we got to fix. But we got to turn the page again. It's a tough league. Would have been great to win a game. Obviously, the goal is to win every one. It wasn't the case, so that's how it is. Got to turn the page and then focus on next week.
Bryce is going to be a difficult listen until he starts feeling comfortable on the field. Because it's weird, and one has nothing to do with the other in terms of importance. What Bryce says through the press, because it's never going to be disrespectful. He's never going to get in trouble. But there is a correlation between what he says to the media and how he looks on the field, and it is this. To me, Bryce, when he's doing these post-game or post-practice interviews, really isn't giving you much. I think he understands. I just think he is not really interested in relating all of that. And he doesn't have to. That's not his job.
No.
Right? But I think when the game slows down on the field, and hopefully it will, because right now it appears that it is way too sped up for him. But when the game slows down on the field, I think that will translate into a more relaxed Bryce Young, who doesn't necessarily give you things, but we won't get mostly nonsensical things. Not like, see, there's a difference. Cam Newton used to give us wild, fun things.
Right.
Right? Because Cam had a level of confidence.
Yes.
That translated to, here's some honest statements, but honest statements kind of wrapped up in the package of craziness.
Right. And that was a point that I was going to make, too, is as a Panther fan myself, in my soul, unfortunately, I loved Cam Newton, and I'm missing that from Bryce Young because I don't see that dog in him like Dan Morgan wants. And I get it, you don't have to be like crazy and over the top, but it's just like Cam had that drive. He had that spark, and he owned when he looked like crap on the field too. And he would own it and be like, I'm going to work on it. We're going to get back on there. And it's not that I don't like Bryce. I just don't think he has what Cam had or what I want my quarterback to have.
Isn't that an unfair ask for Bryce?
To be like Cam?
What Cam presented as an athlete was incredibly unique.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not even talking about the physical attributes. But I guess it was all part of that package. If Bryce Young becomes 70% of Cam Newton, heck, 50% of Cam Newton,
yeah,
the Panthers will be in good shape.
Yeah.
People underestimate how great he was.
Oh, they do, 100%.
And Cam was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. He didn't go after his fumble. They lost the Super Bowl. If he doesn't get hurt in Week 8 of 2018, honestly, we might still be having Cam Newton as the quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He'd be well into his 30s.
But he'd still be good. Good enough compared to some of these other ones. I mean, if Sam Darnold is starting still in the NFL, Cam Newton would still be here.
And he'd still be here because he would be a Panther for life.
Yes.
But
he just has that heart, and I guess that's what I'm missing. That's what I mean. Not to say that Bryce doesn't, but Cam definitely did, and that's where they're different.
Cam Newton took over a team that was, what did they go, 1-15 the year before, right?
Mm-hmm.
1-15. Newton took over, and you could tell from game one, we got it.
On and off the field.
This is the guy.
Mm-hmm.
This is the guy. Even though he and Steve Smith, butted heads and all of that, you could tell from day one that Cam was the guy. I think that is an unfair ask for Bryce Young to be that, but our experience with a first overall pick at quarterback was Cam, and on the field and off the field, Cam Newton exuded personality.
Yeah.
And Bryce Young exudes, and I know this is going to sound like a slight, he exudes Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that, but there's no personality. I think we might get more once he becomes more comfortable.
Maybe. He's
on
just
the
so
field.
aloof. It's rough.
Right. Like he really doesn't know what to say. When he figures out the quarterbacking part, I think he'll get better with the other stuff. Adam Thielen. We spent a lot of time on this. That's fine. Adam Thielen, wide receiver, Carolina Panthers on the opener.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal. Any week that you have a performance like that as a team, it's embarrassing. It's not what we wanted or expected, but it's reality. So you find a way to fight through it. If this league was easy, everyone would do it, right? There'd be a lot more people trying to take my job if it was easy. So you just show up tomorrow with a little bit of sense of urgency because you know what happens if you don't have that.
Yeah, they will show up with this. I mean, I'm sure of it. I mean, tomorrow's the day off. Today they're in and they're doing all the film and the recovery and all that. There's so much work to do. The roster, and now without Derek Brown, the roster's even more thin. They were already worried about personnel losses on the defensive line. I mean, for them, you'd like to have 6, 7 healthy, reliable defensive linemen. I think they went into the game with 5. They lose Derek Brown, so
I hope they're not as deflated as us fans are.
Well, they can't be. And honestly, it's hard. We'll close on this. And we're going to talk to Mike Kaye from the Charlotte Observer about the Panthers when we come back. As people who watch, some of us are fans. I'm not. I know you are. But we want Bryce Young to do well. And when it looks like it looked, and it wasn't just Bryce, but really was the entire team. I didn't think it was the coaching staff's greatest game. Of course, it's the first game. But ultimately, it comes down to the players, and the players just didn't look up to it. It's hard to not be discouraged by what you saw. Of course, it was 47-10. So let's see if it looks a little bit different against the Chargers on Sunday. And now we're going to start building some habits is not the right word. So we'll be able to build a narrative about this team. I would say by the time we get to the end of the month, then we'll really know. Right now, what we just saw was glaring, and it was ugly, and it was discouraging. Hopefully, it'll be different. We'll talk to Mike Kaye, get his thoughts on what we saw, and also see if he has an update on Derek Brown as well. Next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
We're kicking it this fall with college football. Join 99.9 The Fan all season long and catch your favorite teams in action. The ACC, the SEC, and every conference that matters. You'll find the best matchups here.
Jordan Moore delivers, and the Blue Devils have the lead!
College football on 99.9 The Fan is brought to you by Wilkinson Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in Sanford and by Amedios.
Hi, it's Adam Gold from my friend Gordon Miller, Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary. No need to go overtime unless you really enjoy overtime and pounding the football past the Los Angeles Rams. MillerLending.com is your one-stop shop to get the greatest no closing cost mortgage ever, which is your best deal because you do not pay closing costs, save yourself thousands, and refinance free of charge when the time is right. And the rates have come down more than a point since May. Might want to take advantage of that. So that's why Gordon Miller invented the no closing cost mortgage back in 1987, so you could take advantage of lower rates free of guilt at having already paid out closing cost money, which you don't want to do, and you don't have to do it. Just like the Lions didn't have to make us wait until overtime, keeping us awake late into the wee hours, but the Lions did come through, and I know Gordon Miller's happy about that. Miller Lending on Kildare Farm Road in Cary since 1996. They are an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 250-2146.
Donald Trump's back, and he's out for control.
I would have every right to go after them.
Complete control.
I will wield that power very aggressively.
And he has a plan to get it.
Detailed plans for exactly what our movement will do.
It's called Project 2025, a 922-page blueprint to make Donald Trump the most powerful president ever. Overhauling the Department of Justice, giving Trump the unchecked power to seek vengeance, eliminating the Department of Education, and defunding K-12 schools, requiring the government to monitor women's pregnancies, and Trump has also proposed severe cuts to Medicare and Social Security. Those are Donald Trump's plans.
Well, revenge does take time, I will say that. And sometimes revenge can be justified.
He'll take control, we'll pay the price.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message. Paid for by Harris for president.
This September, Diamonds Direct's ultimate offer is back, stronger than ever. Diamonds Direct helps you get the perfect jewelry gift with 0% interest. That's right, enjoy 5 years of 0% financing on any Diamonds Direct purchase. It's your chance to get her the perfect ring with 0 interest and comfortable monthly payments that fit your budget. But act fast. This offer ends September 30th. For details and more, visit diamondsdirect.com. Spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest on approved credit. Only at Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Organize easy. Organize tough. Customize your work truck or van with upfit solutions from Van Products. Steel and aluminum shelving, toolboxes, data files, cabinets, drawers, conduit carriers, ladder racks, everything safe and secure. Everything built as unbreakable as you by Adrian Steel. Backed by the best warranty in the business. 3 years, 36,000 miles. Everything custom installed by Van Products so you know it's done right. From a single work rig to a fleet, choose custom installed upfit solutions from Van Products.
Now,
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas, loves expanding your business, evolving your passions. We push what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to now.
This is Adam Gold.
And I did have to use two screens at one point, or a couple of points, and I don't like it. I can't watch two games at the same time.
There's a lot going on.
I'm sorry, I'm incapable of doing that. Because there were times where, I forgot this other game was on in front of me.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
Mike Kaye covers the Carolina Panthers for the Observer in Charlotte. He joins us on the Adam Gold Show. Forgettable Sunday afternoon, and I think it got worse today. We find out from Tom Pelissero that it is possible that Derek Brown will be lost for the rest of the season with a meniscus tear. I realize everything is fresh, but is there anything you can add to that or expand on it?
Yeah, my colleague at the Observer, Alex Zutlow, confirmed with a source that it's a potentially season-ending injury. And as Pelissero said, with the meniscus, it just depends on kind of what they have to do, as we saw, with the Vikings quarterback, JJ.
Right, McCarthy.
Yeah, so, sorry, my brain. I just got off a flight, excuse me.
It's quite all right.
But, he's their best player. It's by a country mile.
Yeah.
Like, he is the best player on this team. And to lose 47-10 and then have this be the follow-up news is just a brutal turn for the Panthers, who, to a man in the locker room, took accountability. I don't know how you couldn't after literally every phase of the team failed yesterday. It's a tough pill to swallow.
Mike Kaye joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. 47-10, really just the start of it, and we just talked about the Derek Brown. There's really no replacement for Derek Brown. They were a little thin on the defensive line to start the game anyway. That becomes even more of a problem, and the defense was run through on the ground by the Saints early and often as well. I think we thought that the defense would be an issue, at least the run defense might be an issue this year. But let me go to offense, because everything this year is going to be about the development, putting last year for Bryce Young behind him, and I don't think it was anything other than just maybe a big highlighter was put on last year based on the first throw. What's your sense from, even post-game, Dave Canales and Bryce Young, what's your sense for where their heads are at right now?
I think there's a sense of alarm. How could there not be? Frankly, it was maybe the worst game he's played as a pro. He had a terrible game last year in New Orleans. This one capped that one. And, I get it. There's going to be a lot of people blaming the preseason for this, or the lack of preseason reps, but that's kind of like blaming the hygiene of somebody who's 25 on their parents. At some point, you have to be an adult and a pro and do what you're going to do. And I think, even after those first three drives, the fact that he couldn't bounce back after that really kind of made the performance all that much worse. And so I think they've got to go back to the drawing board. I thought there were guys getting open for the most part. Yes, there were some coverage issues where they had to overcome very good coverage. The Saints played very well. We shouldn't take away from that, but the mistakes made by Bryce Young were pretty alarming, and I think any sane person would say there's a cause for concern.
Yeah, on the very first pass, and I want to get to the play call in a second. Mike Kaye from the Charlotte Observer is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show at Mike_E_K. With a Kaye at the end of it. But Deontay Johnson was open. And Bryce Young just overthrew him. And I don't know if he was confused because there were kind of two available receivers there. Adam Thielen was also open a little bit further on down the field. So who knows if Bryce was kind of, I don't know, confused or maybe that bothered him a little bit. But he overthrew Deontay Johnson. It was that was clear. But one thing that bothered me about the play call was, and I guess there were two elements. One, Dave Canales had talked about being a running team, and knowing that you were already down 7-0, I don't know, maybe lean on what you said was going to be the identity of that team. Run the ball first and give Bryce some essentially automatic throws, right? We're going to throw it here, short, to this guy because he's going to be open. And look, I give them credit for pushing the ball kind of, 10, 15 yards down the field right away. But he certainly didn't make it easy on Bryce right away.
Well, I thought the play call was actually making it easy on Bryce. He had two guys wide open up the seam, and he missed it. I mean, I'm not defending Canales. There's plenty to criticize him for. But if he hits that completion, it's 15 to 20 yards, and they start off in rhythm. I also think, there's a sense of gamesmanship. You say you want to run, and so the defense is expecting run, hit him with a pass, try to get off to a good start. Really, the failure here was execution on basically all levels of the field, and I thought the play calling was fine. Like, I didn't think he did anything that was particularly, edgy or forward-thinking, but I thought it was fine. I think the issue really was execution, and, I mean, it showed on all levels. It was almost like this team got together in Uptown Charlotte for a pickup game 15 minutes before kickoff. It was sluggish. It was lethargic. It was the same lackluster Cats basically from last year, and I equated it to a slasher movie starring dinner theater understudies. Like, that's how big of a mess this was. And I think they've got a lot to do to get ready for Los Angeles this week.
Yeah.
Because if they go 0-3 out the gate, this season is just going to get much harder and much more bleak in the standings and in reality.
Mike Kaye is joining us here, covers the Panthers for the Charlotte Observer. We all knew that the roster, you're not going to turn over a roster entirely from one season to the next, just physically impossible. But did what was put out on the field demonstrate just how far away the Panthers were in terms of their personnel a year ago to today, where even the improvements that they made leave them, to me, obviously pretty far behind?
Yeah, I think they're more talented, but that talent doesn't matter when you can't execute, right? And I think the disappointing factor for me is that, while they invested a lot of money in offense, on defense, they basically gave Evero all of his guys, Josie Jewell, Nick Scott, Jordan Fuller, Deshaun Robinson. They invested in guys that knew Evero's system and that he trusted. And I thought the defensive depth was going to be an issue. The defensive starters just were an absolute letdown. There were guys tackling each other, running into each other like bowling pins. They just looked like they had never been in the system before. It was very odd. I think offensively they're fine starter-wise. Compared to last year, I do think they have more talent. But again, talent doesn't mean anything if you don't know what your job is and you're not performing well. And that is an indictment of the coaching staff, not necessarily the play calling, in my opinion.
I know you referred to it. The starters played one series in the preseason. Is it foolish to point to that? Because I'm not saying that's a reason, but they did look like they had not played together.
I think it's fair to bring up, but I think it's a bit of a straw man when they were this bad all game long. I don't know what 6 combined series in the preseason we're going to do to alleviate like all of these mistakes. They looked encouraging in practice, but then again, we saw how bad the defense was. So maybe it was more of an indictment of the Panthers defense than anything, in that the offense looked better. I just I don't know. Covering the Panthers has become a thing where you really can't trust your gut or what you see anymore.
Right.
Because this team just scales to new lows on like a weekly basis and an annual basis.
Man, it's just the Monday after week 1. Mike Kaye from the Charlotte Observer is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I don't know if this is final thing or not, but I'm curious because I saw somebody asked me on Twitter, how could the defense be so much worse this year through game 1 than it was last year? My response to that is I don't think the defense was as good as the raw numbers showed us last year. A lot of things like DVOA had the Panthers a lot closer to the bottom than they were to the top. But would it be fair to say they're not as good at the main edge rushing position, Burns versus Clowney? They're not as good, mostly because of injury, on the other side, on defensive end edge rusher. And maybe Frankie Louvu was all that. Maybe they miss a lot of things like in the middle of their defense, like the second level of their defense that they had a year ago.
I mean, I thought Ryan Burns had a pretty rough year last year. And
right.
I've only seen Clowney in one game. Although, I mean, look, if you want to compare week 1 to week 1, I mean, Burns had one of the best games he ever had as a Panther against Atlanta. And Clowney was kind of an afterthought in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think an inside linebacker, not playing Trevin Wallace at all is a problem. That guy is a playmaker. I'd argue he was probably a top 2 defensive player in training camp, and he was regulated to special team stuff because Shaq Thompson is a captain, and Josie Jewell is Evero's guy. And both of those guys, in my opinion, came up relatively short, but so did the entire defense. I had a lot of confidence in this inside linebacker group because of training camp, but ultimately the proof was in the pudding yesterday. And I agree with you. I think some of the numbers last year were misleading. Teams weren't passing a ton on the Panthers because they were building big leads and then would run on them. And it was very easy to run on them, especially the first 2 months of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's worth bringing up. I do think Frankie Louvu is missed from a disguise standpoint, even though Josie Jewell is more of a natural inside linebacker. And listen, Dave Canales has said that he wants to play the kids. He wants to play the young players right away. If I were a veteran player after that blowout, I'd be very nervous that my playing time is going to be cut in half or worse.
No, we'll find out coming up on Sunday against the Los Angeles Chargers. Any concerns for J.C. Horn?
I mean, that first play, I spoke to Jordan Fuller in the locker room. He wouldn't confirm what coverage they were in, but he said it was his fault. He didn't give him help down the field.
Okay.
He kind of bit on a crossing route. Horn's now the best player on that defense. No question about it. He's really going to have to step up. He's going to have to be a turnover maker. And believe me, teams are going to start targeting him more, especially when they see zone coverage, because if there are going to be coverage breakdowns, they're probably going to be against J.C. Horn, where the safety feels confident in him as opposed to the other members of the secondary.
Yeah, they could use some health, and I don't know if there's even time to hope for positive news about Derek Brown, but that is a major blow. Mike Kaye from the Charlotte Observer, I appreciate your time, sir. Welcome back from New Orleans, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me.
It's Mike Kaye, who covers the Panthers for the Charlotte Observer. I hate for Panthers fans that it seems so dire after week 1. But there's no other way to look at it, even if we allow that, it could just be week 1. It was that bad. So now even more pressure is heaped on a team at home. And by the way, Sheena Quick, who has been on this program before, covers the team. found a season ticket holder or a ticket holder that sold 2 tickets for $1.80 a piece.
Really? Wow.
Huh?
Wow.
180 pennies.
Wow.
Yes.
To go all season to their game.
I could buy 2 tickets to the Panthers game with the change in the well of my car.
Exactly.
I could reach into my golf bag and pull out dimes and pennies and whatever coins I use to mark a golf ball.
Yeah.
And I could buy tickets to. Where could you find enough money?
Definitely at the bottom of my purse.
To go to a Panthers game.
Yeah.
That's the poll question.
Wow.
Where would you find enough money?
See, and
this
is sad because I was with friends yesterday who we all are we're Panthers fans and we were living in misery together. And we talked about the fact that it's just not even worth to go there because of the money you have to spend to like the hot dogs like we talked about, the beer, all that stuff. Wow. And it costs less than $2 per seat.
Right.
For a whole season of it.
No, not for a whole season of it. This is just for an individual game.
A single time. I thought you were saying they sold the whole season ticket. Okay. Well, still, though.
Those would cost at least $20.
Yeah.
But 2 tickets.
Still, though. Yeah.
$1.80.
Starbucks coffee costs more than 2 tickets.
It does. As a matter of fact, I got a grande today, and it was $3.52. $3.52. I think $3.52.
Okay. Yeah.
That seems a lot.
I know. Well,
for a grande.
If you want a PSL, it's like
I could buy
that.
4 tickets.
Yeah,
Almost,
exactly. A family of 4.
Not quite 4 tickets to the Panthers, but where would you find enough change to go to buy those Panthers tickets? Right? If you do laundry.
Mm-hmm.
You might have a couple of rolled up dollar bills still in your jeans pocket.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, the Tooth Fairy gives more money than that. Nowadays, not when I was growing up.
I'm waiting for the old joke that somebody leaves 2 tickets to a Panthers game in the windshield, on the windshield of their car.
It's funny.
And when they get back, there's 4 tickets.
I know. It's funny you say that. That was one of our jokes, too. Instead of getting a parking ticket, you get a Panther ticket.
You had 2.
Yeah.
Here, take them. Nope, here's 2 more.
Uh-huh. Yep. Have fun.
Big test. Not because the Chargers are so great, although they're good, I guess. But, man, the bar that the Panthers have to get over is simply about them. It ain't about the opponent. They have to look like they belong on the field, and they didn't in New Orleans. We'll give you a little bit more about NC State and the schedule coming up, and we'll rewind, talk a little college football with Mike Felder next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Are you struggling with your Medicare drug costs? The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program may be able to help. The Extra Help and Medicare savings programs are available for those who qualify, but you have to apply. Contact SHIP today to see if you qualify. Visit ncshiip.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
When the power goes out, your life is disrupted. Heat, air conditioning, refrigeration, phones, all gone. Be prepared for the next outage with a Generac home standby generator. After sensing a power outage, a Generac generator automatically restores your home's power, whether you're home or away. Power your life with a Generac home standby generator. Act now for a free 10-year warranty on a Generac home standby generator. Terms and conditions apply. See more at alternativepower.com. Alternative Power, North Carolina's Generac experts.
What a great NFL weekend that was, and you have another chance to start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 wager on tonight's game. How about a Bryce Hall anytime touchdown, which is plus 130, Christian McCaffrey over 75.5 rushing yards, and Aaron Rodgers over 235.5 passing yards. There you go with a single game parlay. Raleigh. Just visit FanDuel.com/AGS to make every moment more this season. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Did you know Atlantic hurricane season runs through November? From gathering necessary supplies to planning an evacuation route, now is the time to make sure you and your family are prepared. And if a storm damages our electric system, local public power providers are ready to respond and restore power quickly and safely. As a public power customer, you benefit from having an electricity provider that restores power faster than other providers do. Visit electricities.com for storm preparation tips and resources.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, we believe that getting to know you is the best way to protect what you love most. We have friendly agents in every county to help you prepare for the unexpected. And when life doesn't go as planned, our award-winning claims team will be with you every step of the way. Find a local agent today at ncfbins.com. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
Visiting the North Carolina Zoo in Asheboro is a family tradition, perfect for fun outdoor adventure. Founded in 1974, this year marks North Carolina Zoo's 50th anniversary, and the zoo is celebrating all year long. Enjoy the antics of the baboon babies, take a ride on the endangered species carousel, and wonder at the massive elephants of the Watani grasslands. Make cherished family memories today. Plan your trip at nczoo.org. Open 7 days a week in Asheboro.
Have you ever noticed how little things can make a big difference? Here's an idea. Why not greet everyone you see today with a big smile and a friendly, "How are you today?" Maybe this small gesture may turn around an otherwise bad day. You never know how much difference a friendly expression can make. Who knows? You just might make a new friend. In North Carolina, we have always taken pride in being kind to everybody. Little things do make a difference. Makes you feel better. Makes everyone around you feel better.
This is Adam Gold.
Frankly, I'm not sure that there is a sport that we could theoretically even put in the Olympics that isn't. I said bowling. Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Croquet? Lawn darts?
I'm waiting for cornhole.
Oh, there's somebody that thinks, yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. NC State gets to get back up off the mat against Louisiana Tech at home this weekend at noon. It'll be on the ACC network. It'll get them ready for next week's game at Clemson, also a noon start. Florida State has an opportunity to get their first win of the season, although Memphis, no pushover. That will not be Florida State. Just to give you an idea, Florida State at home is only a 7-point favorite over Memphis. Wolfpack are 21.5-point favorites. I said earlier that Syracuse is playing Missouri. My fault. It was Boston College playing at Missouri. BC is now a ranked team, according to the AP. They come in at 24. Miami is 10th. Louisville 19th. Clemson 22nd. BC 24th. UNC is like third or fourth outside the poll getting votes. Good for the Tar Heels. State obviously now not getting votes. You know, you were 20 whatever, third, 24th, 22nd, whatever it was. Then you get beat by 41. And we all watched it. It looked bad. So not understandable that you would be completely outside of even the also receiving votes category. But I said this before, alarming as it was, and it was alarming to watch, the team melted down. Grayson McCall wasn't good. And what was interesting is that a lot of the people that I speak to or trust when it comes to where did it all go wrong, look, we all know that the offensive line and defensive lines were manhandled by Tennessee. But there were plays to be made, and for the most part, Grayson McCall didn't make them. And yes, he turned it over 3 times. The interception was a killer. They never recovered from that, but there were also 2 fumbles. And it's easy to say if they don't throw the pick six there, it's 10-3 at the time. If they don't throw the pick six, worst case scenario, they kick a field goal. They were well inside reasonable field goal range. But there also was they were really putting together a good drive. Maybe that results in a touchdown. Now it's 10-10. Oh, it would have been a different game. It's easy to say that, just like it's easy to equate the fact that the Panthers didn't really, use their top players in the preseason, apart from a series, and it would have been all different. It's just speculation. And we can assign whatever meaning you want. If you want to say, oh, it would have been completely different, I will say, yeah, you might be right. But in my opinion, the rest of the game was kind of an indication that Tennessee is just significantly better than NC State. Now, with that said, State didn't lose a league game, haven't played a league game yet, and won't until next Saturday at Clemson. So while alarming and embarrassing, and we can make whatever judgments you want about Grayson McCall and his ability to play in the ACC against the competition he played against Saturday night, it still doesn't stop NC State from being a good team this year. There have been a lot of hot takes. Dave Dorrant can't do this. Dave Dorrant can't win this one. I don't think that Saturday night was about Dave Dorrant can't. I don't. I think Saturday night was, they're not good enough on the offensive line. That's where I think. Honestly, that's what I believe was the biggest problem. And, of course, Grayson McCall didn't play well either. So I don't think he played particularly well, honestly, against Western Carolina. But it was an obviously different level of competition. But we'll see how Grayson McCall turns it around. I assume he'll play well against Louisiana Tech. The Clemson game is going to be a strong indicator of what we can expect from the Wolfpack the rest of the way, I think. We'll see how that goes. North Carolina's 2-0. Duke is 2-0. Wake is 1-1 after an unbelievable come-from-ahead loss at home to Virginia. Woof. Woof. No, Wake. You're not supposed to do that. But they did. East Carolina, good win for them. 2-0 after the win at Old Dominion. Again, we don't really know how good any of these teams are. I'm getting pushback from Charlotte 49ers fan. You don't know anything about my program. I'm like, yeah, I'm not arguing with you. And I've read some things about whatever the administration, roster, coaching staff, whatever. It's not in great shape. If you think it's great, that's fine. That's fine. Home loss to JMU, road loss at UNC to a team that really can't throw it. Again, I am more than happy to be wrong about a local school. You go win as many games as you can and then throw it at me at the end. I'm here for it. All right, let's do a quick rewind, if you will, and talk about where we are with the Panthers and Bryce Young, and we've got Will Brinson for this. And for me, it's easy to say it's just week one. So I asked Will, is it just week one, or was it that bad?
Oh, I don't think it's just a week one thing. And remember, I mean, look, there's always, we talk about the Bryce Young trade, and thank goodness for the Panthers that Deshaun Watson is out here making it look like not the worst trade of all time. But, when you trade away a lot of first-round picks and in order to acquire one player, and then you subsequently trade away another former first-round pick like a Brian Burns, you've really drained a lot of potential talent. Like, it's hard to hit on second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth round picks, right?
Yes.
First-round picks are hard to hit too, but they're more likely to hit, and they're blue-chip talent. So when you lose multiple first-round picks from your roster, it's going to drain your roster significantly for a portion of time unless you get lucky and can supplement it with picks from other rounds. The Panthers are in the middle of that. Now, I would say 2 points about why this could be worse than it was last year, which is really hard to say and hard to stomach if you're a Panthers fan. One, the defense is much worse.
Yeah.
I mean, Derek Carr is probably, if the season ended today, Derek Carr is getting a lot of MVP votes. You never know. In 2024, anything can happen. And then two, like, what if Dave Canales, the lathering of Dave Canales this offseason preseason is like, look what he did for Geno Smith as his quarterbacks coach. He turned him into a career.
Right.
Look what he did for Baker Mayfield. Well, he was Baker's OC, and Baker had a good year, and he was Geno's quarterback coach, and Geno had a really good year. But it was this very weird transposing of all the credit for those guys' success onto Dave Canales. People saying, well, the Bucs are hosed now because Dave Canales is gone, and that he was going to magically turn Bryce Young into a reclamation project. Now, look, it might still happen.
Yeah.
It's tough for Bryce because his first year is juxtaposed very directly with CJ Stroud's success. You have Anthony Richardson, who looks great with the Colts, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to believe that Bryce Young's going to be a thing for the Panthers. Teams give up on early round pick quarterbacks all the time. We see it with Sam Darnold on the Jets. But I think that the idea that Dave Canales was this magician who was going to sprinkle his super handsome dust all over the Panthers and fix the offense was probably misguided. And I tried to say that this offseason and generally got pushback for it. Early results say that I'm right. Nothing like victory lapping something after 1 week of football.
Everybody's saying that now. And that's what happens when it looks like it did. My problem with, and I don't have a problem with the criticism or even the people who have reached the conclusion that Bryce ain't it. I disagree, but man, if you are in that camp, ain't no way I can talk you out of it. No, and I wouldn't try. Because through 18 games from the start of last year to now, and granted, I know he did not play all of them. He missed one. But now through 18 games of the Bryce Young Panthers era, game one of this year was the worst. And he has more weapons, and he's got a better offensive line, and theoretically, he has a better coaching staff with one message, not four. So what happened yesterday was incredibly discouraging for fans. Forget about what the team feels. They're professionals. They are built to deal with all of this. But Bryce looks like a player that the game is moving at like light speed for. And it has to be the opposite. You can't possibly be a good quarterback if the game is moving too fast for you. And that's what I see from Bryce Young. I have never played that position. But it just appears that he is having a hard time processing everything that's going on in front of him. And here's a guy who has never struggled to win. Ever. How is he dealing? How is he going to deal with losing upon losing upon losing and feeling like maybe he's responsible for it. Victoria, thank you. We'll run this back tomorrow. Bye.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold in studio with my man Sammy Hanna, Aluminum Company of North Carolina, owner, operator. 63 years aluminum company's been in business?
63 years. It's not often, Adam, that you find a family-owned company that's gone through 3 generations, basically. Jeff's father opened the business in 1961. Jeff took it over in 84, and then I joined him in 95 and continued to grow the company and focus on customers, customer service, and make sure that we're here to meet all of our homeowners' home improvement needs.
And coming up Friday and Saturday, you've got the open house where